Hello and welcome back to a brand new episode of the Pick a Side podcast. My name is Joel Moran and I'm here with Andrew Velez, Joel Dehls, and this is now episode 193. In this episode, we are going to recap UFC 276 with Michael Daly, talk about the Panthers trading for Baker Mayfield, what the Mets and Yankees should do at the trade deadline, expectations for the Chargers, and we'll give our NFC South predictions. A quick Patreon and YouTube member shout out to Phantom Wolf, Danko Hawkins, Matthew Jimenez, Jaron, Nick, Vincent, your local bronze sexual, Jordan, Tua is amazing, love you, Drew, MG Nas, UK Bulge, J Love Clear, Zach W, Cole, Darius Garland's next, Nazir, Dwayne, Rivers is a gorgeous man, Travis, Drew's the GOAT, Holmes, your boy Nick, Jake the Snake, Corrupt, Drew is big old booty, Dylan, Afosa, Mason, Riv Academy clears on Earl, Gentile Drew, Cade MVP, SP Vorzi Shot, Jordan Watt, Evan, Dylan, Joel is the GOAT, Mayo, Peter, Daniel, Ben, Ruthless Rooster, Kill Moves, Joel B, Eagle Dollar, Tizzy, Corey, Get Funkoed, Dylan, Playboy Orlando, Big Chuck, Michael, Cole, Liam, T Grove 17, Tua sucks on Ka, Ryan, Epic Lankiness, It's Black Ace, BJ, PJs, Langston, Jazzy Juice, Johannes, Dave, Muffins, Sean, Burner Hoops, Court Cousins, P. Dot, Akari, and Jay Aqua.
Good old Jay Aqua. But before anything, that's say Drew's big booty?
He said Drew's old big booty. I think your old big booty. I don't know.
Oh, that's pretty crazy.
That's different than big old booty.
Yeah, very, very different.
Where do you think that inspiration came from? You stood up last episode?
I don't know. Maybe.
Oh, you did.
I know. Did I?
AC, I think.
Maybe. I mean, I do have the fatty. I'll be honest.
Okay.
Hey, bro, what's wrong?
I was going to say it, but I was going to.
Yeah, thank you. Yo, really quick, birthday shout out. Give us a round of applause to our boy, Steven Iezzi, man. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to my sister-in-law, Jeep, too. Listen, have to give the birthday shouts before we get things going, but let's get into it.
And right now, we have a special guest, Michael Daly, coming on the show to talk UFC. It's the fighting expert right here. Michael, glad to have you on the show.
Man, it is great to be on with you guys. The names you guys were listing off before I hopped on the show. Bronze Sexuals was one of the names. I mean, that
was
sounds
rude.
like a crew you guys have for an audience, but it's great to be on with you guys.
That.
Yeah,
appreciate you,
our
Patreons being on
come
here.
Up with a lot of creative names.
Yeah, they do. Bronze sexual, man.
I like when they switch it up, though. I do like it.
I do too, but I hate that term.
Why?
Bronze sexual.
You're a bronze sexual.
See, but that's the thing. I'm not. I'm a LeBron fan. Does that automatically make me a bronze sexual? Am I attracted to LeBron? No, I root for him.
Be honest. Like, come on, bro.
Bro, God forbid that I love LeBron because he is an unbelievable basketball player. Right, so if I defend him automatically, bronze sexual, the correlation sucks.
If you're a bronze sexual,
no,
you
it
could be
means
asexual.
when you are extrely biased.
So I'm not.
You
Towards
don't
LeBron.
have to have a sexual.
You are.
I know,
you
but
could be asexual.
they make it.
You know what I'm saying?
Listen,
don't be.
you're right,
You are
2022.
biased towards
You're right.
LeBron.
That was very close-minded to me. I apologize, but I'm not because I'm not really overly biased when it comes to LeBron. I just don't see it that way. LeBron has yet to fail me at this point in time.
Are you co-signing his statement? Like, you don't know him for the longest?
Nah,
Exactly.
Like, you don't know he's capping right now?
I'm not capping.
I know he's capping.
What?
Like,
You kidding me right now? Dude, I've never is probably strong. Probably in a joking manner, I've defended LeBron on some shit that I probably shouldn't have. But, like,
I know you
when
have.
it comes down to 2011, it's not like I'm oblivious. I say it flat out. He folded.
Yeah.
He's the reason we lost. If I was a
well, you can't
bronze...
say never failed you then.
I mean, all players go through ups and downs, right?
I agree.
Did Jordan go 11-0? Right, he would have 11 championships in the 11 seasons he played. No, I mean, yeah, you
Went
lose.
6-0.
Shout out to him, right, in the finals because the competition he played in the West was.
So right now you have the American flag on.
This is the Puerto Rican flag.
United States, like, that's
I
part of
understand.
America.
I mean,
United
but
States, right?
you know, you get your own flag. Like, there's territories in the United States that still are their own.
No, every state has its own flag in the U.S. I'm pretty sure. Yeah.
You think so?
Yeah, I'm almost entirely sure. Yeah.
I've never seen the Jersey
but
flag.
again, Puerto Rico is not a state of the United States of America.
It's a territory.
But it says
It's a
on the side of the hat.
yeah.
You know, my mom went to the homeland and she brought back some gear. You know, shout out to Mommy Velez. And she got me back a tee and a hat.
I didn't even peep the shirt.
Yeah, New Jersey has a flag. That's the flag. Yeah, every state has a flag.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, but again, Puerto Rico is not a state of the United States. It's a territory.
For sure.
Yeah,
But had to rep the motherland.
So, Michael, before we go on and talk about UFC 276, I just want you to give a quick introduction. I could do it, but I know that you know yourself way better than I know you, and I've known you for a while, and I know that you cover boxing, UFC, all that sort of stuff. You're a hardworking man. So just quickly introduce yourself.
My name is Michael Daly. Obviously, as you guys mentioned, it probably says on the screen somewhere here. I just graduated Seton Hall. I was a classmate of Joel's for a few years. But yeah, I cover boxing, UFC. I love covering MMA, boxing. Those are two passions of mine. So, and I'm happy to talk about it with you guys too, because there's nothing better than being able to dissect a fight a few days after, because you got to go back and watch the fights. I think that's why everyone loves a fight night, because it's this primal instinct. And when a few days later you can go back and look at that fight, I think that's why boxing and MMA, those combat sports, I wouldn't say they're my favorite, but they're up there though. Football, I think, is everyone's favorite, including mine, but MMA and boxing, those are, for me, I think that's up there. So that's a little bit of a background on
Who's your
who I
football
am.
team?
Los Angeles Rams.
Oh, must be nice.
Interesting.
Yes.
Very, very interesting, Michael.
Yeah.
You know, when I first went to Seton Hall, I was in a group chat and everybody called me Skip Bayless because I would just spew hot takes in a group chat.
So Michael, you must be acquainted with me since I was an avid supporter of your Los Angeles Rams this past season.
I did not know that, but yeah, I love that. I love that you were big on the Rams.
Yeah, man. Day one. After the very first week, I said the Rams are going to the Super Bowl and winning the whole thing.
But it was funny because I was walking with Michael. We were like on campus. We were walking, and he thought I was just a hot take guy. And then we started talking about the Rams, and I was dissecting their entire offense. And he's like, you know what? This guy actually knows what he's talking about.
Michael, you shouldn't have let him convince you of that because he was wrong. He was wrong.
Ultimately, he was wrong. Yeah.
You know what? I got to give Joel credit, because this was, I want to say this was like September 2020, in that range. That's when I first met him, because a lot of people were ripping on Joel, and I was one of them. Joel and I would get in heated debates back and forth, or we would talk about the Milwaukee Bucks. We'd go, every topic, you name it, we probably argued about. But then when we got to really talk, I was like, no, this guy knows what he's talking about. And from there, the rest is history.
Yeah, he definitely knows what he's talking about.
Sometimes.
Of course, I know ball.
Sometimes.
The only ones that are
ball.
allowed to say he doesn't is us.
That's
right, because we actually know,
Sometimes he knows
I
ball.
know
Other
ball,
times
man.
he decides not to know ball.
Sometimes, oh God, Lord knows that's the truth. Sometimes, oof, man, this guy Joel, he knows what he's talking about. Other times, sit here and I'm scratching my head.
Let's talk about UFC 276. So recapping the two title fights. The first one that happened was Alexander Volkanovski versus Max Holloway. Now, Volkanovski, he won all three fights in his trilogy. The first fight, I thought he won it. The second fight, I rewatched it. Holloway, to me, I give him the slight edge, but this third fight, I don't feel like there was any room for a decision. I feel like Volkanovski won, and I think there's an argument to be made that he's the best pound-for-pound fighter in the sport right now. I think he's on a truly dominant run. What do you think about that, Michael?
He's up there. If he's not one, then he's two. Maybe Kamaru Usman's ahead of him. I've even heard some people say Charles Oliveira, but this guy for sure is in the top three. And it's because he was able to prove time and time again that first win in December 2019 against Max Holloway, that was not a fluke. A lot of people even questioned that win and were like, no, Max should have won that fight. No, Volkanovski, rightfully so, took the first one. Okay, then the second one happened almost 2 years ago to the day. I believe I was in that camp that said Max Holloway should have won a decision. He was robbed. And I was even in the crowd that said Max Holloway was the uncrowned king. But you know what, guys, would change my opinion on Alexander Volkanovski? It was his win over Brian Ortega last September. Once he beat Brian Ortega and just snatched victory from the jaws of defeat from Brian Ortega, he proved to me and to everyone else that he is the very best 145-pound fighter on planet Earth. And it just goes to show, after that win, then his win over the Korean Zombie, Max Holloway just fell back a little bit too much for a trilogy fight to win that. So it's unfortunate. It pains me because I love Max Holloway, and I'm sure you guys do too.
For sure.
But Alexander Volkanovski, he is that guy right now.
Yeah, Max Holloway he has one of the one of the most entertaining fighting styles in the UFC right now. But I think what Volkanovski does the best when he fights him is that he neutralizes his fighting style. The first one, you could really tell that he neutralized his fighting style significantly. Like Max Holloway in the first fight landed 134 significant strikes. Holloway in his other fights after that, he had 445 significant strikes against Calvin Kattar, 290 against Brian Ortega, and 230 against Yair Rodriguez. So Volkanovski's been able to neutralize Holloway. In the second fight, Holloway only landed 102, and I thought he landed more just from like my eyes watching it. And in the third fight, he neutralized him again. Volkanovski has not lost since 2013, and now he wants to challenge himself and move up to lightweight and now be a double champion. If he does that, then I don't think there's an argument for him not being the best pound-for-pound fighter in the sport right now. Like, now that Khabib is retired, like Volkanovski, like he's even said that he's kind of getting bored with the division.
Can you blame him for being bored? I personally can't blame him because other than Max Holloway, there's no one out there right now that either one, he hasn't beaten before or is really worth a test for him. Josh Emmett is a good fighter. Yair Rodriguez is also a very good fighter as well. But are they pay-per-view sellers? No, they're not. If Volkanovski decides, you know what, let me move up in weight and either fight Charles Oliveira or fight someone like Islam Makhachev, Khabib Nurmagomedov's underling and understudy, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
Those are huge fights for him. And the thing is, taking a challenge like that, you would be fighting someone, whether it's Oliveira or Makhachev, who are at the top of the mountain in the pound-for-pound ranking. So if you're able to beat them and then hold two belts simultaneously, my goodness, it is hard to knock someone off. But with that being said, though, I still think Kamaru Usman is the best fighter on the planet.
Yeah.
But with two belts, though, in the 145-pound division, cleaning that division out, and if you're able to beat Charles Oliveira, there's not much debate.
But you look at Charles Oliveira, he has just been so technically sound in his approach, the way that he's able to submit almost every single opponent, it seems, as that's been the case. Oliveira had an unfortunate situation where he wasn't able to make weight. I think he missed it by 0.5, correct? 0.5. Mm-hmm. And even still, didn't matter. He wasn't able to have the title put around his waist, but he won the fight in convincing fashion. Oliveira has just looked so much more superior against his opponents. Volkanovski, when it comes to that matchup with Oliveira, my concern would be the size advantage. But off his most recent fight, Volkanovski with Holloway, you see how his speed and how meticulous he is. He's able to just move around the octagon so swiftly that it kind of neutralizes his opponent's height. If he wasn't as quick, if he wasn't as elusive as he is, and you see it as his fights have gone on, he's gotten progressively faster and faster, which has only benefited his fighting styles, where now if you put him against a guy like Oliveira, I just feel like Oliveira's too technical right now for me to say that if they were to fight, especially with Volkanovski having to move up, that's a whole different regimen, a whole different training that goes into it. For him to immediately go into that class and be dominant, I think it's going to take a little bit of time. There's a few guys that have come in and been able to do that. McGregor, obviously, he's been one of the most infamous double champs there is. But he, even still after that fact, he fought an opponent that he was able to dominate. He just didn't look like he was on the same level as Conor McGregor. But at this point, Charles Oliveira is not someone to overlook. This guy, as Michael already mentioned, is, if not the best, the number 2 pound-for-pound fighter in the world right now. Oliveira, again, unfortunate situation where he wasn't able to make weight. However, he is that guy when it comes to submissions.
And I have a question for you, Michael, because I know there's been a bunch of debate in the UFC world. I was talking to my friend who trains about making weight and cuts, and Oliveira obviously missing it's a huge deal. You know, I feel like this has been going on for a while where you obviously have weigh in, you have to make whatever weight it is, 155, say, and then the next day or whenever, these guys have been cutting their whole life, right? They're used to losing 10, 20 pounds in a day or two, and then the next day they balloon back up and now they're 180. I know that's a big controversy in the UFC. I wanted your thoughts. Is that a problem? Do you think UFC should step in? Like, it's a health concern too? Like, then you're fighting different weights when you're actually in the octagon?
Joel, the problem here is how a state athletic commission goes about handling this, because it's not really up to the UFC. It's more so up to Nevada, California. Now, California, they have different rules than, say, Nevada does, because California, you have to be under a certain weight limit at a certain amount of time. So that way you're not being a quote unquote weight bully, or you're not cutting too much weight where it's unhealthy for the fighter. A situation like Charles Oliveira went through, although he missed weight, the scales that were used in Arizona, because that fight took place in Phoenix, those scales were accused of being off, because Charles Oliveira, when he was weighing himself before he stepped foot on the scales, the official scales, he was on weight. And other fighters actually pointed that out. And they said, no, I had the same problem where I had to go back and I had to measure myself again and check my weight. So it's hard in a situation like that where Charles Oliveira missed weight. Automatically, he's scrutinized, because in the past, not only has he missed weight, but he's been accused of being a quitter. So weight issues like that can negatively impact the legacy of a fighter. But I wouldn't worry too much about Charles Oliveira. It's other fighters that will have to worry about ballooning up to 200 pounds and having to whittle down to 155. Like Paddy Pimblett, I don't know how familiar you guys are with him, but that dude, he goes up to like 200 pounds and he has to shrink back down to 155. That is tough to ask for a fighter.
Yeah, no regular human beings doing something like that.
No.
I promise you I can't do that.
That's hard. To cut that
The
much
most
weight.
I've been able to cut, and it took me months, was 25 pounds.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's tough.
Yeah, it's
Even
really
still,
tough.
That's hard. Like being able to do 45 pounds, like it's unhealthy. Like the amount of weight you're taking on and putting, taking off and putting on in such a short time span, it's like it can't be good for you.
No.
Well, you have no water. That's the thing.
That
Because
is what it
essentially
is.
you're water cutting, and you're not eating, you're not drinking any water, and you're just wicking away a ton of sweat, and you're just training. And for Paddy Pimblett, it works, but as you get older, that's not the right way to balloon up and just eat a ton of food all the time.
The other title fight in the card was the Israel Adesanya and Jared Cormier for the middleweight championship. Now, to me, I'm gonna be honest, I'm not somebody that watches UFC religiously like that. So from a casual perspective, it was a pretty boring fight, in my opinion. I was almost taking a nap during it. But Michael, what did you see in that fight? What did you think? And what do you say to people like me who thought it was pretty boring?
It's an acquired taste, a fight like that, because if you're not someone who enjoys chess matches, because that's what that was.
Definitely.
If you want to see someone just get flatlined, that's not the fight for you.
You got to watch Max Holloway.
Yeah, you got to watch Max Holloway bleed and can barely see out of his left eye. That's a fight you got to watch. But with Cannonier, the reason why I think people like yourself were disappointed is because he has combinations that he can then turn into one-punch power. That's the way he sets up his devastating knockout shots. Unfortunately, he just ran into the guy who I deem to be the greatest striker in MMA history.
Oh, wow.
That's the way I saw it, and I wasn't proven otherwise. Israel Adesanya, the way he's able to cut angles, the way he's able to maneuver the pocket, and Jared Cannonier just made a lot of mistakes when it came to setting himself up offensively. He was what he should have been was either too far away or too close to Adesanya. He was in that intermediate range where it was hard for him to touch Adesanya because he's 5'11" and he has a 3-inch reach disadvantage against Adesanya. And Adesanya, I mean, he's 6'4", 81-inch reach or 80-inch reach. He could just sit there and just poke at Cannonier all night long. And that's what happened.
So Israel Adesanya won the fight. After he won the fight, he called out Alex Pereira and basically said that you're next. Like, he wants him next. He wants him. And the reason why is because they had fought twice already previously in kickboxing, and Alex Pereira won both times. The second time he knocked him out. So UFC is really hoping that this fight becomes something, because I think it's going to draw a lot of attention. Oh, yeah. It's going to be a lot of pay-per-view dollars. In that fight, do you think that Alex Pereira beats him for the third time, or do you think Israel is just too good right now?
You can't count out Alex Pereira. You cannot count him out. And he actually is next in line, because the UFC said whoever wins this fight, meaning Strickland Pereira, they got the next crack at the title. little be known, it was Alex Bahia who just beat a Sean Strickland. I don't even know what his game plan was. He was parrying shots, had his guard down, and he paid the price for it. Alex Bahia can beat Israel Adesanya. He can. Right now, though, it's hard for me to pick against Izzy. It is because, one, it's a completely different sport, and two, Israel Adesanya has been so good inside the UFC. He cleaned out the middleweight division, even tried to go up for light heavyweight supremacy, to the point where the UFC said, you know what? We got to get the guy who beat him twice in kickboxing, and we got to pray that he can be the guy to take him out in a different sport. Think about how crazy that is. You're taking somebody from a different discipline, and now you're hoping that his work with Glover Teixeira and his camp in Connecticut is good enough to compete with Israel Adesanya in a multifaceted game. Now, when they fight, guys, it'll probably be a kickboxing match. And Alex Bahia is the only middleweight who can stand toe-to-toe with Israel Adesanya in kickboxing in an MMA match. But right now, though, I think Israel Adesanya is a much better fighter than he was when he suffered those 2 losses.
Yeah, I agree. And I think right now also, like, people are wishing for Israel's downfall. Like you mentioned, the UFC's trying to get Alex Bahia to come in and now beat him. Do you think the UFC doesn't want him to be champion anymore?
It's not that they don't want him to be champion, because he is the cash cow right now. Because Conor McGregor suffered a few losses. His stock is not as high as it was. Israel Adesanya, although he lost to Jan Blachowicz, he bounced back. He made up for that loss. So I don't know if it's that the UFC doesn't want him to win. What the UFC wants to happen is parity. Same thing with the NFL and the MLB. Mm-hmm. There's a reason why the NFL loves new teams each and every year making it to the Super Bowl, because it's good for business. Same with the UFC. If you can have fresh blood, same thing with Jared Cannonier. He was fresh blood. Look what happened to him. Alex Bahia, the hope is, since he is fresh blood in this scenario, he could be that next star. So that's why they want parity, because although Israel Adesanya is great, if he loses to Alex Bahia, you could set up a rematch. And if Israel Adesanya wins a rematch, boom, that's a trilogy. Or you could find a way for Bahia to fight other guys. So I think it's more so a matter of just building up that next big star.
Yeah, you're right.
And to talk about the fight very briefly, Cannonier just seemed very hesitant, just because, like Mike was saying, Israel is such a precise and one of the best strikers we have in the game right now. According to Mike, the best striker in UFC history. I'm a John Jones guy, so I don't know. Maybe it's just John Jones a little bit more technical. You mentioned the height advantage. That's what John Jones also has, but I know people aren't huge John Jones fans right now, but I got to stay loyal to the guys. To digress, I believe that Cannonier just was super hesitant because of the presence that Israel holds over guys. Izzy is just so much more physically dominant than most of the fighters that he's going to go against. And again, he mentioned the 3-inch height advantage. He mentioned the reach advantage as well. And Cannonier, it got to a point where he just needed to let the hands go, and he just seemed a little bit too stagnant, seemed to play the fight a little bit too safe, where especially when you're in an opportunity that you might not have again. If you're a Cannonier, you need to go all out. You need to try your best. Even if it results in you getting knocked out, you put the pride aside. You already know that you're losing the fight. Go balls to the wall. Try and go for that knockout punch. Cannonier never ended up doing so. Izzy retains, and it was very smooth fashion. I feel like, to answer your question about do people want Izzy to lose, Izzy, these last couple fights that he's been in, it's been more technical than anything, because Izzy is just so much more smarter than these guys that he's facing. He's understanding, he's reading these fighters and what they're trying to do to him. He's just toying with them. He understands that he's just got to get to the next fight. I want to be the champion. I just got to be technical. I got to be sound in my mechanics. I can do so by being very precise and patient with my approach at fighting my opponent. So, do I think that UFC wants to see him lose? I wouldn't go that far. Like Michael said, I agree with that statement. I just think that we want, like you mentioned, the Max Holloway fights. We want to see those guys that are duking it out, leaving everything in the octagon, because knockouts are what drive people to the game, right? It's a gruesome sport. We understand that as people that view the sport, but that's ultimately what excites the fans. We like to see that big punch that gets the internet buzzing. So that's not Izzy's style as of late since his loss. 3 fights in a row that he's gone the distance. But ultimately, you can't knock the hustle. If you're getting a W, if you're the champion, you can do whatever you want. Ultimately,
yeah.
Why criticize it when it's working?
And definitely being the champion makes you a bit more conservative than
For
usual
sure.
because he's trying to defend the title. He's not trying to get the title.
It's not like every champion prior has not used that same approach. I've seen John Jones go and coast to the finish line because he was a little caught off guard with what this guy was doing, but he understands that he's more smart than his opponent. So he just plays the game. He plays the match out. It's normal.
So other news that happened in the UFC is that Cowboy Cerrone retired on Saturday, and 39 years old, retired, began his MMA career in 2005, and he fought both in the lightweight and welterweight division, 54 total fights, 36 victories, 10 of which happened TKO. How do you think Cowboy Cerrone is going to be remembered, Michael?
I think he will be enshrined in the UFC Hall of Fame at some point because, look, he is the second all-time wins leader in UFC history. And actually, the all-time winningest fighter in UFC history is the guy who just beat him, Jim Miller. And just a quick aside, guys, I actually feel bad for Jim Miller because here he was celebrating this amazing accomplishment that he had just achieved against a future Hall of Famer in Cowboy Cerrone. And people kind of forgot about it because Cowboy Cerrone is such a legend that he put his gloves and his hand wraps in the octagon because he was retiring. So ultimately, Cowboy Cerrone had some tough losses at the end of his career, but the longevity that man had in his career, fighting for a world title in 2015, all the wins he had compiled to that point, 23 UFC wins, the man's a legend.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Now, I want to thank you, Mike, for being on the show and talking UFC with us. Definitely going to have you on again. But for this time, thank you for your time, man. We really appreciate it.
Thanks, Mike.
Thank you.
Appreciate you guys. Awesome.
That was Michael Daly talking about UFC 276. And on to the next topic. This is a show where we just talked about UFC. Now we're about to talk about MLB. Mets, Yankees, the trade deadline is upon us.
It's coming soon.
What do you guys think? Like, what should the Mets do? What should the Yankees do to improve their ball club?
All right, so I'm going to talk about the Yankees. I'll dabble in the Mets, given the fact that we actually have different positions, which I was actually shocked about. So right now, what the Yankees need is corner outfielders. Aaron Hicks had a very nice June, given the fact that his April was atrocious. So anything would have been better than that. But he had a great June. But I look at right field and I see Joey Gallo and I see Giancarlo Stanton's inconsistency in being able to play the outfield. And ultimately, we need a right fielder, either a right fielder or a left fielder. I don't know if Aaron Hicks, he's probably capable of playing right field, given the fact that he's a center fielder. He's naturally able to play the outfield, given that fact. So I believe that we should either go out and get a guy like Ian Happ, who has been stellar up until this point for the Chicago Cubs, and Chicago Cubs aren't a great ball club. But Ian Happ's batting .283, 8 home runs, 78 hits total, 38 RBI, 41 walks, ninth in total walks in the National League, a .382 on base percentage, and .460 slugging. And if we aren't able to get Ian Happ, I'm more than fine with Andrew Benintendi too. Reason why I'm fine with Benintendi, even though he was a Red Sox, and ultimately that doesn't matter in today's MLB. Exactly, Jacoby Ellsbury, who was an L. But Andrew Benintendi has been great. Contact hitter, at least. .313 batting average, 3 homers, 92 hits, 32 RBI, .381 on-base percentage is what I'm seeing most importantly outside of that .313 average. You put him at that bottom of the lineup, and he can turn the lineup over to DJ LeMahieu, Aaron Judge, Giancarlo Stanton, Anthony Rizzo, Gleyber Torres, who has been excellent coming back this season, given how mediocre he was last. Andrew Benintendi at the bottom of that lineup, giving us a solid glove as well in the outfield, being able to turn the lineup over back to the guys at the top of the order would be tremendous for us. I feel like Gallo being a sub-200 average hitter, I understand that the shift has killed him without a doubt. I think next season, if Joey Gallo is no longer a Yankee and the shift's banned, I think that we're going to start to see Joey Gallo's swing start to open up and him start to have a higher batting average. But right now, it's not what the Yankees need. Right now, we are the best team statistically, record-wise, in the MLB still, and that's with Joey Gallo batting under 200, like I mentioned. If we go and we can get one of these two guys, specifically Andrew Benintendi, who has been a great contact hitter, And lefty too. Who knows if just accidentally he could poke one out, given the fact that short porch out and right could be beneficial to him. I think Benintendi would be a nice pickup for us. Now for the Mets, I see the rotation, and automatically I have concerns, and I feel like they're justified. Yes, you guys, when healthy, have the best 1-2 punch in baseball. Max Scherzer, Jacob deGrom. In my opinion, when they're on the field, that's number 1 and number 2 best pitchers in major leagues. But given the fact that we haven't seen deGrom up until this point, and Max Scherzer has gone down with injury, even though he did make his return, was it last night? Yeah, and he pitched great, 5 innings, I think, 11?
11 strikeouts.
That is crazy. Max is that guy when he's on the field for sure, and I'm sure you weren't expecting him to get injured this season, but you need that safety blanket when you have guys like Carlos Carrasco, Taijuan Walker, who's been very good.
Yep.
Something that cannot be overlooked. Taijuan has been very good.
Taijuan was also great the first half of last season. Fell off the second half.
Very true. Which is why I have my concerns come down the stretch of the season, given the fact that he's been one of your more consistent guys. And Bassett, who's down with injury, McGill, who's down with injuries.
Well, Bassett's going to be fine. He was just on the COVID IL.
So that's facts. I apologize. You're 100% right. But McGill, who was great for you guys, for him to be down and you not know his status, where right now it's looking like mid-August is going to be his
60-day
return.
IL is...
Yeah, it's never ideal. Never ideal. I feel like you guys could use a starting pitcher. If you have deGrom, if you have Scherzer, you just need that one extra guy. I just don't know if I'm confident with that one extra guy, given the fact that we saw Taijuan struggle last year in the second half of the season. I feel like you just need that one guy to be that safety blanket. I have guys like Luis Castillo, right-handed pitcher from the Cincinnati Reds, 29 years old. And these guys that I'm going to list you all have terrible records because they're on bad teams. So Luis Castillo, 2-4, 3.33 ERA in 8 starts. If you guys don't know, the lower the ERA, the better. That means you're not giving up runs. 3.33 is very good. 46 inning pitch, again, like I mentioned, 8 starts, and a 1.09 whip, which means walks and hits per inning. You're giving up 1.14. That is tremendous.
Which means basically one person on base.
Exactly. And if you can get one of these 3 guys, I feel like it's very safe. But Luis Castillo is the best option available right now, given the fact that you would have him signed to the end of 2023. He still has that fastball that still touches high 90s. Luis Castillo would be the pickup for me. You still have guys like Frankie Montas, right-handed pitcher from the Oakland A's. Again, 29 years old, 3-7 record, which is not ideal, but the Oakland A's are bad.
Terrible.
3.53 ERA, which is more than solid in 81 innings pitched. 1.14 walks and hits per inning. Another very firm pickup. He would probably be my number 2 option for you guys. And then if you guys aren't trying to spend too much and not give up too high of prospects, I don't think you're going to have to give up Francisco Alvarez. No way, no how. He's untouchable. Correct. But a guy like Kyle Freeland, left-handed pitcher from Colorado, you guys could use a left-handed starter. And 29 years old, 3-5 record, 4.46 ERA, which is why I say you probably won't have to spend top dollar on this guy. But even still, 72 innings pitched, 1.10 walks and hits per inning. Kyle Freeland, if you can get him for relatively cheap, given the fact that you guys would need that safety net starting pitching, I feel like I would go for it if I'm you guys.
The Mets, while they're 20 games over 500, first in the NL East, and they've been really phenomenal all season. We've hit a bit of a rough patch this last week or so.
And the Braves are coming.
Yep, they're 2.5 games back. They're right on our heels. When we were up, 7, 8 games.
Yeah.
I mean, they went on a ridiculous stretch there. It was a matter of time.
And I think it's the shortest lead that you guys have had in the division since April 30th.
Probably. Yeah, I mean, the Braves got off to a rough start. Then they won a ridiculous amount of games in a row. I don't remember what it was. But we knew the Braves were eventually going to come around, just coming off World Series.
And
obviously.
Acuna also coming back. Exactly.
Playing out of his mind as well. But this team is far from perfect, right? I think when you look at the Mets, I don't look at their starting pitching as a huge need. I think we saw Scherzer back last night. He looked dominant.
When Scherzer's on, he's on.
He was
That's
insane. DeGrom just made his first rehab assignment. He was hitting 100 miles an hour.
Talk to him.
5 strikeouts and 6 batters. He was looking fantastic. It's single-A ball. I'm expecting this from him. So I'm not writing in DeGrom as he's going to be 100% healthy and going to be good for the rest of the season. I pray to God that's what happens, because if we have him and Scherzer, then this team can actually make it to the World Series. But I think we have some other holes, right? I think in terms of starting pitching, behind DeGrom and Scherzer, you have Chris Bassett, you have Taijuan Walker, and you have David Peterson, who's pitched really. I've shit on David Peterson for years. I feel like he's been really well. His ERA's been hovering around 3 all year, and he's a lefty. I think he's our only lefty that I can really think of off the top of my head. Come playoff time, he'll probably move to the bullpen. You usually only go probably 4 starters in the World Series, sometimes only 3 starters.
Exactly.
So having DeGrom and Scherzer, and then whoever's hot at the time, whether it's Taijuan, Bassett, or even Peterson, possibly if we need a lefty starter, I think the rotation is fine. First off, though, the Mets aren't trading any of their top prospects.
Absolutely
They've come
not.
out and said Alvarez is off. He's actually been ranked the number 2 prospect in all of MLB. Just updated that today. But even guys like Brett Beatty, Ron Marquisio, Ventos, I believe, is another guy, Vientos, who just hit another home run in AAA. They're all off limits, right? They're all top 10 guys in our farm system. So I'm not expecting the Mets to go make a Cespedes-like move like in 2015 where we went out and we really got a guy to make a
Heavy
huge
hitter.
impact on this team. I think what we need right now is depth, especially in the bullpen. I think Edwin Diaz has been phenomenal. He just won NL Reliever of the Year. He's been one of the best closers in the game of the month. Yeah. Drew Smith has been fantastic in spots for us. Seth Lugo has been a bit up and down. Same thing with Adam Ottavino. I just don't know if I trust Drew Smith in the playoffs, the 7th, 8th inning to get 3 outs. He's been great all season, but I need at least one more person, ideally a lefty, since really only David Peterson's the only person we have available. I would like to get at least one more lefty so we have those lefty-lefty matchups. In baseball, if you're a lefty hitter, it's a lot harder normally to hit a lefty pitcher compared to a righty pitcher, even though there is some guys who have, don't follow that rule exactly. But a few guys I had out here, one was Joe Mantiply. He's a lefty reliever from the Diamondbacks. The Diamondbacks are terrible. They're 15 games out of first. He's having a career year, ERA at 1.13, which is extremely elite.
Jeez.
33 strikeouts and 32 innings pitched. I believe he's like 29 years old. He has another year of team control as well. So I don't think that's someone who would be very expensive to get. A couple other guys are Andrew Chafin on the Tigers. They're 12 games out of first place. Another guy with the sub-2 ERA. Those are really the two. Ideally, they're both lefties as well that I would like to go out and see get be acquired by the Mets. And then in terms of batting, I do think we could upgrade at DH. JD Davis has been the man who has been primarily holding down that
solid.
role. He's been okay. He's batting around 240. But overall, I think we could use an upgrade. I think JD Davis is a fine player. I'd rather him be a bench bat. The guy I want the most is Josh Bell. I think Josh Bell, it'd be a bit...
Division, that'd be tough.
In division is tough, but here's the thing. They're 22 games out of first place. He's a free agent next year. So the Nats have to get something for him, right? And if the Mets do come with the best package, then they're probably going to end up accepting the Mets, even though it is in division. Who knows if the Mets even
Then
end up
y'all are going to
signing him.
actually have to go with prospects because Josh Bell isn't a slouch.
He's not, but I do
Like
think...
he's really, he's mad good.
He is, but it's not... He doesn't have team control. So he's going to be
That's
a free
true.
agent next year. It's
That's
not like
true.
the Nats are... They're probably not going to resign him. I mean, they're terrible, right?
Yeah.
So odds are they're not going to resign. There's obviously reports of Juan Soto, who's arguably one of the best players in baseball. He's 23 years old, about him leaving too. So the Nats are in a really bad spot right now. I think it is a bit of a stretch just because it is in division. But if we're able to get Josh Bell, who's having a career year, batting over 300 for the first time, putting up ridiculous OPS slugging numbers.
315, 12 home runs, 38 walks, which is among the league leader, at least the National League in walks, 47 RBI, 93 hits. Dude's been crazy.
He's been unreal. He'd been power and contact and being able to get walks, get on base, throw a lineup. I think that's really that would really bring our lineup in together.
Definitely.
And we have, really 1 through 9, really probably 1 through 8 outside of our
what you're
catcher, unless Alvarez comes up and ends up playing some time for us because
That would be electric.
Yeah, McCann has been great.
He has to be really amazing these next couple months for him to get that September call up, which I don't see as impossible. But given the fact he just got promoted to AAA, I think that it would be he really has to play very well for him to get that September call up, which I don't think is impossible given the fact he's the number 2 prospect in baseball.
Yeah, he has to play really well in AAA, but what he showed us in AA is he could do that and then some, right? He's been unbelievable for us.
What was it in 162 games? He hit 41 home runs over 130 RBI.
Yeah.
Bro, he is crazy.
He's mad good.
He's one of those guys that, yes, he's a catcher, and you could use a catcher, especially McCann. I'm blanking on your other. If Francisco Alvarez can be a catcher and still put up the hitting production that he has shown in the minor leagues, you'll take it. But it's getting to that point where he's such an elite bat that do you even want to risk him being put at catcher and putting him in a position where he can get injured?
Yeah, of course. And catchers' lifespans are just so much shorter than the rest of the positions.
It's not
a grueling position to
Let's
play.
look at some savages. Buster Posey, he played for the Giants, retired this past season, is going to be a first ballot Hall of Famer. We saw it still take a toll on him.
Yeah.
Joe Mauer was an MVP for the Minnesota Twins. We saw that being a catcher took a toll on him. Had to end up playing first base for the last couple of years.
I feel like Pudge was he played forever. He was
Pudge,
really
rarity,
the only one
rare.
that
Pudge, Jorge Posada, they're last of a dying breed, and you got to put respect on Yadier Molina, absolutely.
Yeah, for sure.
But Salvador Perez is another one that we've seen that has the power with the stick, but. Now come on, bro. Come on. Can we please show some respect?
Sorry.
But even still,
Show some respect.
we're seeing that now he's starting to get a little bit banged
Yeah.
up, and we're seeing a dip in his numbers too. It's just inevitable when you play the catcher.
Yeah, the Mets, like we said, they're not giving up a ton of prospects, so I'm not expecting anyone crazy. But if we could get a lefty reliever and one more bat that could be DH, give Pete some, or even play first base, give Pete some time off. Dom Smith has come up from the minors, and he's played pretty well over the last week or so. He's had a few hits here and there. I don't know if he's consistent enough. It's really hard in baseball, especially when you don't get consistent at bats, to really like prove yourself, right? If someone goes down to injury or the Mets need to bring somebody up, if you only have 3 or 4 at bats, even if you have a hit or two, you're probably likely to get sent down to the minors just because it really is hard to get that consistency. I forgot why he got set down in the first place. I think it's when we DFA'd Cano. We had to make space for somebody, but then he went down to AAA. I don't know exactly.
You see
how
Cano
it
is eating in the minors right now?
Is he really?
Yeah, he's batting like 3 something.
What minor league team is he on?
I couldn't tell you.
He signed with I forgot who he ended up signing with. It might have been.
Bro, he's actually
He's
putting
bad,
up
though.
insane numbers.
After
It's like
he left the
you're a
Mets-
major league player. You go to the minors, you're gonna eat.
After he left with the Mets, whatever team signed him, he wasn't playing well for. I forgot who it was. But it's not surprising.
And you mentioned it really fast about, it takes time to come back and really be a consistent ball player when you're not getting those at bats. First thing that comes to mind is Miguel Andujar. The fact that the Yankees have put him in a position where he's been in back and forth from AAA to the major leagues when he's on our roster, he's a consistent hitter for us. It seems as every single time he's back into the big leagues, he's making something happen with the bat in his hands. But I can't. So a report actually came out that he was reporting that he had requested for a trade. I can't blame him. I can't blame him at all, given the fact that when he's in the majors, yes, he is a solid ball player. Most important thing in baseball is that you can hit the ball. If you can hit the ball, there should be a position for you regardless. And he is one of those guys, even in a stacked Yankee roster, a stacked Yankee lineup, that he comes in and he gets consistent hits for us. I cannot blame Miguel Andujar at all for wanting out of the Yankees.
And I just need to shout out the Mets chat and pigs for putting this list together. We were going back and forth yesterday, like, oh, who do you think would get picked up? And everything,
that's
right?
nice.
So
Little
it's
teamwork makes the dream work.
Make sure I shout y'all out.
Okay, shout out to the Mets fans. You
Shout
guys
out to the Mets chat.
you guys have had an exciting season. You guys been put through a couple difficult years, but brighter days are ahead.
Yo.
Brighter
Shout
days
out,
are
shout
ahead.
Uncle Steve, man.
On to the next topic.
Joel, you ain't got nothing to say? No 2 cents?
No, nothing. No, you're
No,
a Mets
listen,
fan,
I think
bro.
you guys, got the words out of my mouth. I think Francisco Alvarez is a great prospect.
Okay,
You said
there
he's
we
second
go.
best prospect
In MLB,
in
yeah.
baseball. Yeah, like that is amazing. I think the Mets can make a lot of great moves at the trade deadline to, hopefully make this World Series run, man. I'm looking
Mets
forward
Nation?
to it. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. for
I'm-
sure.
so final decision, Mets fan.
I'm just gonna be a floating baseball.
You know what, bro?
fan,
I feel like from here on out, and yes, we're doing this on the fly. From here on out, if you feel like you have any questions during our conversation, you should just ask, because I feel like that would be beneficial
Yes.
for our viewers.
Because they probably have the same questions.
They're like, what is this guy really talking about? You could be like, yo, what do you mean by this?
No, the only question I had was why are catchers? Why don't they have a long lifespan?
So essentially, they're the guy that are involved in every single play of the game, because they're constantly going back and forth in the squat position that they're just taxing their knees. It's gotten to the point where catchers are now catching on their actual knees, putting their knees to the floor, so that way they're not in that squat position, putting as much pressure
Why don't they just?
on the kneecap.
Why don't they just sit in a chair?
Because that is very lame.
It's-
Come on, bro. It's
a
sports.
sport,
You know what I'm
yeah.
saying? It's physical activity.
Sport.
Like, yes, these
Not a
catchers,
chair.
these catchers are probably the best athlete on the field. Some of the best athlete. Let me not say the best athlete, but some of the best athletes on the field. For them to be put through that constant wear and tear on their knees, it takes a toll.
Yeah. On to the next topic. I'm excited to talk about this.
Football.
because
Here we go.
Baker Mayfield was traded to the Carolina Panthers.
Is that what we're talking about right now?
Yes.
Okay.
They acquired the former number 1 overall pick for a 2024 conditional 5th round pick. The Browns will pay Baker $10.5 million of his salary, Panthers $5 million, and Mayfield agreed to trim $3.5 million of his salary. Now, in April, Robbie Anderson responded to an Instagram post of the Panthers potentially getting Baker with no when he learned Baker might be his quarterback. Now Baker
was a
is his
minute ago,
quarterback.
Right? That was a few months ago.
Yeah, April. Well, this fixed the Panthers' quarterback problem. Now, Joel on Twitter, you thought this was a good move. Drew, you couldn't believe people were defending Baker Mayfield, so I don't know who I should start with. The guy who thinks it's a good move or the guy who is shitting on Baker Mayfield?
We could start with me. And I'll tell you what, I do believe it's a good move. You know, I definitely was being rude to Baker on Twitter just to get some feelers out and see how people were feeling. But I genuinely was shocked at the closeted Baker truthers and how many there really are. Constantly all season, last year, all we saw was people constantly shitting on Baker Mayfield and how bad he was. Suddenly now he's traded to Carolina. And people are newfound Baker Mayfield stands. I understand it. You know, now this is the best quarterback situation that the Panthers have had since obviously Cam Newton was Superman and he was one of the best players in the National Football League. But Cam's days are done. Now you have Sam Darnold come in, and he's arguably, in my opinion, the worst quarterback in the NFL. So anything's better. You know, you and I could have went in there, and maybe we would have been better. Obviously, I'm being rude and I'm using hyperbole. But truthfully, yes, anything would have been better. So yes, I like this move, especially for a 5th-round pick. You do that in a heartbeat. If I was Seattle, I would have done that, if I'm being completely honest. I would have liked it a little bit more because DK and Tyler Lockett, that's exciting. But DJ Moore is no slouch by any means. Still a top 15 receiver at the absolute least at the wide receiver position. And I just don't know how much this really moves Carolina up for me at all. Maybe I had them at 4 wins, 3 wins prior to them acquiring Baker Mayfield. I added an extra 2-3 wins. We're going to talk about the Panthers later. Baker Mayfield is not bad. No, I definitely was being very rude to him on Twitter. But my tweet specifically, at Handrew5As, my tweet was specifically to DJ Moore, because when is DJ Moore going to get a consistent, reliable quarterback option?
He's a new Allen Robinson.
And that is so beautifully said. And why I feel like I need to say that is because Baker Mayfield had Odell Beckham Jr. in the prime of his career, and they couldn't make it work. Now, DJ Moore, where he is a prime talent in this league for sure, you can't sit here and tell me he's anywhere near what Odell was when he was with Baker at first.
The only difference is, well, there's a lot of differences, but the biggest difference, I think, is DJ Moore, at least from the outside looking in, like Odell has this big personality and persona that comes with him coming from New York to Cleveland, being known as one of the top receivers in the league, everyone expecting him and Baker to hit it off right away. While DJ Moore, while everyone thinks he's a really good receiver, he doesn't get that type of attention to be the superstar type top 5 receiver. So I don't think there's as much pressure on Baker to get him the looks and targets like he did with Odell.
But let me ask you this. Maybe it wasn't as big as Odell because Odell was global at that point. He made one of the best plays in NFL history with the catch over Brandon Carr. But let me ask you this. Don't you feel it was similar for Josh Allen when he acquired Stephon Diggs? Not to that magnitude, but you get Stephon Diggs. Josh Allen was a top 7 pick overall. It's not the same as being number 1. There's definitely some extra pressure there, no doubt. But Josh Allen was definitely getting some scrutiny, especially after losing to that Houston Texans team after being up 16-0. You get Stephon Diggs. There's expectation now. Josh Allen took that opportunity and absolutely ran with it and hasn't looked back since. I feel like I don't want to give Baker as much leeway to that. Where, yes, I understand Odell is a superstar, a megastar outside the sport itself. Like, even now where he hasn't been as relevant football-wise, even though last year, of course, he was a part of a Super Bowl winning team, but statistically over these last few years, he hasn't been as relevant. You still have to respect Odell in the game and outside of the game and what he means to just the mainstream and social media as a whole.
Yeah. He had a huge impact on kids, too.
So my whole point being is, I don't want to give Baker this pass just because of that, especially when I've seen an example already where there is pressure already put on a guy like Josh Allen. He completely took the opportunity and ran with it.
Well, Odell's not Stephon Diggs. And at that point in time, Odell did get traded. He didn't get along with his quarterback. He called out his quarterback, Eli Manning, that same season that led to ultimately him getting traded. And when he got to Cleveland his first year, despite Freddie Kitchens being a head coach, had 1,000 yards, 4 touchdowns with Baker Mayfield in 16 games. The very next year, he gets hurt in Cleveland, and then Baker has a breakout year. He leads them to the playoffs, and now this past season, things didn't go so well, but Baker was hurt. He hurt his shoulder. It just didn't work out. Now, I don't think that's an indictment on Odell. I don't think that's an indictment on Baker Mayfield. I think there was something there that they just didn't get along.
So the 10-minute clip of Odell being completely missed, You're saying that's more. You're not. You're saying it's not an indictment on Odell, but it's not an indictment on Baker, even though there's a lot of footage to put a lot of blame on Baker.
No, I think there was a problem there with Baker and Odell. I think that they didn't get along, and that's why when he saw him open, he didn't want to throw him the ball. So
that makes no sense, though.
So I think there was something deeper going on there. I'm not going to speculate on it.
As a person, as a human being, would you do that?
Hell no.
It depends on what my relationship with you is.
So you hate me. Let's say you absolutely can't stand me.
I wouldn't throw you the ball.
We have the same end goal.
Nah. But then if that's the case, I don't want Baker on my team. He doesn't want to win.
That's exactly what I'm saying.
The same thing happened when Donovan McNabb and Terrell Owens.
And Terrell Owens, they still had success.
They had success, but
because there's something you have to put aside.
That relationship deteriorated, and towards the end of that tenure, McNabb was not throwing him the ball, and that's why that relationship ultimately deteriorated. So I think there was something deeper going on in Cleveland, but Stephon Diggs, I think he's shown consistently, one, he hasn't had the injuries Odell has had. Odell has 2 torn ACLs now, had an ankle injury.
I'm talking about when they first got there.
When it first happened, I don't think people viewed that in the same light as Diggs to Buffalo or Hopkins to Arizona.
Disagree wholeheartedly.
Bro, Odell was a top 5 receiver when he got traded.
I don't
they
think
were
so.
freaking out. Do you don't remember how much?
I remember
on.
vividly. I remember where I was when he got traded.
The hype was crazy. Baker had just come
the
off.
hype for the Browns was crazy.
He
as
just
a
had
collective
he had a
roster.
record-breaking rookie season. You now acquire a top 5 receiver at the time.
Everyone was expecting Odell to do better than he did
because
in New
Eli
York.
was quote-unquote
Yes.
washed.
Yes.
No, but there was baggage that came with Odell, with this persona that you question.
Can I tell you that, and really quick, just a sidetrack, the whole persona thing really aggravates me because when you are winning, right, and you have this crazy-ass intensity to you where you're freaking out when things aren't going your way, but you're winning, right? It's never an issue. It's only an issue when you're losing.
Yeah.
You realize that?
Of course.
Right? Because obviously,
winning solves everything.
Tom
So what do you
Brady's
have to say about Odell in the playoffs not doing anything and getting shut down?
Don't disagree. I don't disagree. It's fine. That's fine because he knew
Stephon Diggs,
he put
Minnesota
responsibility on
Miracle.
himself.
He had a big time, one of the greatest players in NFL history.
Listen, no one here is trying to minimize Stephon
I'm just
Diggs.
saying that move to me is not similar.
That argument right
that
there
move
was,
to me is not similar. That move to me is not
totally
similar.
Not correlated.
Odell came with more baggage than DeAndre Hopkins did when he went to Arizona, than Stephon Diggs did when he went to Buffalo. There was hype for it, but there was, at the time, at least when I remember
It's
it,
the media presence.
it was 50-50 at the time. There were 50% of people thinking the Browns are going to skyrocket and they're going to be great, and there was other people saying, nope, they're getting overhyped.
I feel like
that
once they
was
got Odell,
when the move
remember a single
happened.
person
When the
telling me
move
it was
happened,
overhyped.
the Browns in 2019, I felt like there was definitely 50-50 split on whether or not the Browns are going to work out. Because at that time, they did have a rookie head coach, Freddie Kitchens. They did have a bunch of personalities that didn't mix well together that people questioned the move. Nobody thought it was a surefire Super Bowl guaranteed.
I think most people agreed with the move. Trade a first-round pick to get a top 5 receiver in the league, one of the most explosive receivers we've
They also
seen.
traded Kevin Zeitler and Jabril Peppers.
Yeah, they gave up a ton. But during the moment, Odell was viewed as a top 5 receiver. He was still super
I'm not talking
young,
about
no
how he was
injuries.
viewed. We're talking about the Browns as a team. There was a split on how people thought they were going to be that season. Some people thought they were going to be really good.
Over the
Some
last
people
couple
didn't
years,
think they were going to be good.
All people have done is hype up the Cleveland Browns.
That's what it's
Well,
been.
they've
But
had
in
a talented roster.
My point exactly.
Yeah.
Going
now
into
let's
every season,
let's get
it
off
seems
this
as if
topic. Let's talk about Baker to the Panthers because we're on this for a while now. Is this a good move for Carolina? Yes, in the moment. Does it fix their quarterback problem long term? It probably doesn't, because who knows who's going to be on the coaching staff. I think the Carolina Panthers are one of the more unstable situations in football. Since becoming the head coach of the Panthers, Matt Rule signed Teddy Bridgewater to be his franchise quarterback, traded him a year later. He trades for Sam Darnold. He then picks up Darnold's 5th-year option. He signs Matt Barkley. He signs Cam Newton. He benches Cam Newton. He cuts Barkley. He benches Sam Darnold. He now brings in PJ Walker to start. He now trades up in the draft to draft Matt Corral, which he traded more to draft Matt Corral than he did to acquire Baker Mayfield. And now you acquire Baker Mayfield. The Panthers have no plan. And in the last 3 years, they've had first-round picks, and they have not used one of these picks on a quarterback prospect. They could have drafted Justin Fields. They could have drafted Mac Jones. They didn't draft any of those guys. In this current draft, they could have drafted a quarterback higher, although this draft we know is a weak quarterback draft. But the point is that in the past 3 years, they drafted Derek Brown, a defensive tackle with a top 10 pick, J.C. Horn, and then and this past draft, I'm not going to mention it too much because it was warranted not getting a quarterback here. But you missed out on quarterback prospects because for what? For what? For drafting a tackle and a cornerback when you have a clear need at quarterback. But the difference with this move is that Baker's not Sam Darnold. Sam Darnold was a scrub. He was garbage when he went to Carolina. People thought he was going to have this Ryan Tannehill-like revival to his career. I never bought into it. Sam Darnold was bad in New York for 3 years. I saw him get progressively worse. Whether or not you wanted to blame it on Adam Gase or not, I saw Ryan Tannehill succeed with Adam Gase and put at least good numbers. You could tell Sam Darnold was just not good. Cam Newton, did I have hope for him? Yes. But
it's Cam. I don't blame you.
Ultimately, he's washed. Cam Newton's washed.
It breaks
it's
my
as
heart.
simple as that.
Breaks my heart,
He's
Wayne.
not a good quarterback. And PJ Walker, XFL MVP, should have stayed in the minors because he's not built for the majors. When he got a chance to start, he wasn't very good. Baker's actually a good quarterback. Baker actually last year, after the 2020 season, people were talking about Baker as he might be borderline top 10 quarterback in the NFL. He had that good of a season last season in 2020.
I don't know. I have
In
no clue,
2020.
actually. I have no clue.
Now, Baker
Who is saying
Mayfield.
this?
I
Now,
have no clue.
Baker. Let me finish.
Who
Let me
are
finish.
these guys? Tell me who you could debate that Baker Mayfield was better than to put himself in the top 10 going into last year. Please.
I'm not debating it.
Oh
I'm saying
my God.
there was arguments about it.
No.
I really don't think there were.
No.
Yeah, there were.
I don't think
I
so.
just read a Stephen Ruiz. You know who Stephen Ruiz is?
Yeah.
From The Ringer.
Yes.
You respect his
I've
writing,
heard of
right?
him. Uh-huh.
That was a sentence in his article.
A sentence?
Yes.
And what, from last year?
No, right now. He just dropped the Baker article. He talked about how after 2020, people were debating putting him top 10.
Did he have a link to the people? Or did he just also say, just like you did, he was top 10 going
Well,
into
I
last
trust
year?
his word. Do you not trust Stephen Ruiz? He's one of the best
No,
football
all I'm
writers
saying-
right now in the game.
Of course he is. And all respect to
Okay.
Stephen Ruiz, but just because you say people are saying he's in
Okay,
top 10,
you are
that's
getting
a very-
fixated. You're getting fixated
Is
on
that
this
wrong?
point.
term.
Is that wrong?
You're getting fixated on this point when
Anyhow.
the point of it is that Baker, when healthy, has thrown 53 touchdowns to 22 picks, 63% completion percentage, 94.8 passer rating, and a 17-12 record. Now, you go by his PFF grades throughout his career. His rookie season, he ranked 9th in terms of PFF grading. 2019, he was 10th. 2020, he was 13th. 2021, he was 30th. Looking at the trend of his grades, he used to work for PFF. You know, they're pretty reliable, I guess.
Sometimes.
Going from 9th, 10th to 13th to going to 30th means that something happened this year that threw off his game. Well, what can that be? Oh, maybe it was that he got injured. He tore his labrum. He had a knee injury. He gave his all to a franchise that threw him away like nothing and threw his name in the dirt on the way out by saying they needed an adult at quarterback and then traded for somebody who had a ton of lawsuits against him who now might not play the season, and they gave him $230 million guaranteed. And they're even talking about an indefinite suspension. That's the Cleveland Browns for you. That same dysfunctional Browns organization is what the Browns have always been until Baker got there. Because you know what? Baker Mayfield led this team to their first playoff appearance in 18 years, their first playoff win in 26 years. Now, when he's hurt, he's, according to PFF, one of the worst quarterbacks in the NFL. When he's healthy, according to PFF, he is a top 15 quarterback in the NFL. Now you have him in Carolina with an improved offensive line, Bradley Bozeman, Ike Ekwonu. You have Taylor Martin still there. Your offense, DJ Moore, Robbie Anderson. Robbie Anderson's going to learn to suck it up and play with Baker, and he's going to do just fine. Christian McCaffrey, Rashard Higgins has that connection with Baker. He's there now.
Higgins is
He
crazy.
probably gets more snaps over Terrace Marshall, but even if you believe in Terrace
Rashad
Marshall,
Higgins and him had a connection.
They did. Nah,
They had a
even,
connection.
even if you believe in Terrace Marshall, Baker has
3
some
big plays a year.
weapons. Now,
Give or
for
take.
me, Baker Mayfield, his downfall this past season had to do with injury, and there's no doubt about it. Because before week 6, where he completely tore his labrum, he had a 22-5 passing touchdown to interception ratio, had a 106 passer rating in the 16 games prior to fracturing his shoulder in week 6 of this past season. Now, Baker should have been put on IR, but because he's a warrior, because he's somebody who has a strong mentality, he played through an injury, gave his all to a franchise that then spit him out like he did nothing for them. He put
disagree.
his career on the line. He put his money on the line by not sitting out. He probably lost over $100 million by that decision, by not just resting the season. He possibly lost that much money, all for a franchise that threw him away like nothing. Baker Mayfield will lead the Panthers to the playoffs before Deshaun Watson does with the Browns. I'm telling you, and they have a shot to make the playoffs this year. But even if you don't think so, next year, Tom Brady's retiring. The Saints still don't have a quarterback that you truly, really trust. The Falcons don't have a quarterback. Baker Mayfield is the second best quarterback in the NFC South. Next year, he could be the best. And the Browns with Deshaun Watson are going to be in a division with Joe Burrow, who Joe Burrow clears that Deshaun Watson guy. Lamar Jackson, MVP, he clears Deshaun Watson. And you have the Steelers, who have a roster that's just a quarterback away, but they have stability. The Browns will become, once again, a laughingstock without Baker Mayfield, because he's the one who restored life into that franchise. And when you take him out, you take away that life, and their heartbeat is gone without Baker. That's what's going to happen.
That was cute. That was
beautifully
cute.
said.
It's a solid take, to be honest with
The
you.
Deshaun Watson one is it's a hot take disguised as, you know what I'm saying?
Correct.
Like, it's a hot take, but
no
it's not
doubt.
really a hot take.
No doubt. When he tweeted it at Joel V. Moran, give
It was
him
a
a
great.
follow.
It's a great take because
it really is.
it's a really good take. What's the word?
It's a really hot take masked behind the fact that
As a
the
no,
truth.
it's
It's
just-
a good take masked by a hot take.
It's
you know what
not
I'm
a
saying?
take. It's the truth.
Because
and that's
like,
what
it
I
sounds
do.
crazy, but Deshaun Watson, he's probably not gonna play all this season. Who knows what happens next season? The AFC is stacked, the AFC North is stacked, and the NFC is weak. And the NFC North NFC South next season is gonna be terrible.
Here's the thing. I'll say this. Deshaun Watson comes back next season. They add one wide receiver option alongside Amari Cooper, because
Yeah.
I'm assuming it's over this year.
Amari also has no guaranteed money left, so it's not a lock that he's on the team next year.
For sure. But I feel like that would be beneficial to them, especially
They have
who
nobody
knows
else.
what's going to happen at quarterback. Who knows if Amari Cooper is going to benefit that. Maybe he doesn't get his value isn't what he wants it on the outside market. Maybe he decides, you know what, let me give this a chance with Deshaun Watson when he comes back next season. Again, we're assuming. The people in the comments absolutely love to drill us for doing so, but you know what? We don't care. We're going to continue to assume that he's going to be done for the year. My point being is, given next season, you add another wide receiver to this, they can make the wild card.
Yeah, they could.
They can make the wild card. And this Panthers team, I understand, you know, the whole being confident in that. This Panther roster has a long way to go.
I mean, we're gonna talk about the Panthers, give our
Correct.
prediction later on the
Correct,
show, and
correct.
in that segment, I'll show you the games they'll win with Baker. Oh,
Okay.
for sure.
All right.
I think they're going 9-8 this year, though.
How much you want to put on that?
Why does everything have to turn into a bet?
Because 9-8's egregious.
No, it's not. We'll talk about it later on the show. Why they're going to win 9 games.
You're pretty
struggled.
confident. You seem pretty confident for a coaching staff that you don't know if he's going to be there.
No, listen, and that's I didn't really finish everything I wanted to really say, even though there's only one more thing. This isn't a home run move like a Stafford to the Rams,
Yeah.
like a
Yeah.
Matt Ryan to the Colts.
Okay.
It's not a home run like
Guy
that.
really didn't even mention Russell Wilson.
Like Russell, whoa,
Thank you.
That's not even a home run like
the
that.
Rams
Why isn't
and
that a
then
home
Mount-
run?
Because the
That's not a
NFC,
home run.
the AFC West is stacked.
No, that's a home run. That's the
Get this
definition of a
guy
fucking home
Wait,
off
don't you have
the
the Broncos
show.
third in the division?
Yeah, that doesn't mean that Russell Wilson is not a home run.
Do you have us
acquisition.
third?
A home run
Yes.
move to me means you're winning your division by far.
Casuals.
It upgrades their team tremendously.
Yes.
Without Russell Wilson, they're not even in the conversation for playoffs.
But if you think they're third, it's not a home run move.
it's a home run move, regardless.
It's a home run move
When
if
we
they're
win
third
the
in the
division,
division.
when we win
That's
the division,
ridiculous.
You get
Matt
Russell
Ryan's
Wilson.
a home run move because he won a division. He's
No,
going to win the
there's a
AFC
difference.
South.
The AFC South sucks. The AFC West
Oh.
is the best division
so
football
wait,
has
you're
ever
saying
seen.
Stafford's a home run hit, right? I don't disagree. My point being is, go look at that division. It's not stacked. Was
That
it a
division
lock?
was stacked, but I
Was it a
thought the
lock?
Rams would be
Yeah,
first in that division.
No doubt.
Yeah.
But was it a lock?
No.
It was close to a lock that they would be first.
That division,
It was.
honestly, looking back, Russell Wilson got hurt. The Cardinals fell off in the second half like they do every year, and the 49ers had Jimmy Garoppolo. Like, it's not like that division is now nowhere clear to the AFC West is right now.
Oh, yeah, but that's why the Russell Wilson to Denver is not a home run for me because it doesn't put them first in that division for me.
But
when Matthew
they're
Stafford
an
got traded to the
incredible
Rams,
division.
when Matthew Stafford got traded to the Rams, I was like, oh, they're legit contenders.
Okay,
now. They can win the Super Bowl.
but no, your logic's fucked up because if the
No, it's
Colts
not.
if the Colts acquired Russell Wilson compared to Matt Ryan, it's a completely different outlook.
Yeah, so
No,
let me ask
yes.
you that.
If the Colts acquired Russell Wilson, that's a home run
This is a
move.
clown.
Yeah, but
This
just
is
be-
a clown.
Because
But
they
you
win the
can't-
division.
No, that doesn't make sense. Just because you're in a bad division, you don't get the benefit of getting a home run move just because you're in a bad division. Russell Wilson is a home run move. He's a top 7-8 quarterback in the league.
So you have them third in the AFC West, though.
Yeah, I think they'll make the
Okay.
playoffs.
Barely. If you have them third in the AFC West.
is crazy.
I have the Chargers and Chiefs.
So if
So
you're
Raiders
if you
But I think they're
if you
a game, they're
barely
like a game behind
okay,
the
but if
Chiefs.
you barely have them getting in, let's say that barely turns into not getting in, is that home run?
It's
Is that home?
still a home run acquisition.
Oh yeah. Oh, but come
They're
on.
gonna make the playoffs. I'm not worried
If
about
it's
the
not a home run
Broncos.
acquisition, bro, you're out of your mind.
If you
Simple
don't
as that.
think
It's
Russell
simple.
Wilson's a home run acquisition, I don't know what is.
Matt Ryan to the Colts.
They're not automatic division winners. How can I call it a home run move when they're not automatic division winners?
Because we just acquired a top 8 at
Do you think-
worst
do you think
quarterback in
Tyreek
the
Hill-
NFL.
He's the third best quarterback in your division.
Says who?
What do you mean says who?
How do I know that?
Do you
Herbert
think-
and Mahomes.
How do I
are
know?
better than
How do
him.
I know
Do you
that?
think Tyreek Hill's a home run move?
By Miami?
Yeah.
No.
What?
It's not a home
Tyreek
run
Hill?
move. They might miss the playoffs. It's
It's
not
a
a lock
home
Miami's
run.
in the
Acquired a
playoffs.
top
bro.
5 wide receiver in the NFL. It's
And
a
paid him
home
$30
run.
million.
All right, you do it blindly.
It's Tyreek Hill.
But they might not make the playoffs.
All right, question. So if Tyreek Hill would have went to the Jets, not a home run move?
Yeah, because we're making the playoffs.
This
Because
guy's-
Zach Wilson is that guy.
Move on to the next topic.
But
You're pissing me
Miami's
off.
literally been a game away from the playoffs for the past 2 years.
So it's not a home run move if they make the playoffs?
If they make the playoffs, yes.
But so they were a game away.
but
They
right
just
now I don't
acquired
have
a
to make.
top-
I don't have to make the
They
playoffs.
were a
though.
game away last year. They just acquired a top 5 wide receiver. They're not playoff contenders.
They are in the hunt, but if they don't make
So
the
why
playoffs,
isn't that a home run
ultimately,
move?
because you don't have
So
a
it's not a
quarterback
home
that's
run
good
move
enough.
until the season starts.
No,
That's
until
basically what he said.
we see the conclusion of it.
Okay, yes. So until the season
Okay,
starts.
yeah. So what? We can't even have this
Wasting
argument.
time.
We
We
have-
can't have, we can't have this argument.
Wasting
No,
then.
we can
time.
because it's based on projection.
On paper, Russell Wilson is a home run move. If you won't have to wait till January of 2023 to confirm or deny it, whatever. But on paper, it's a home run move. You're getting a top 7-8 quarterback who has carried
if
bad
you-
rosters to
it,
the playoffs.
it depends on how you view the move. Like Drew views the Broncos as first in the division.
Oh, for sure.
So for him, it's a home run move because
Absolutely.
the Broncos are winning the division. For you, you have them third in the division.
Still
for
not
it's
me,
within like 2 games. The division's stacked.
for me, I'm skeptical on them. So
you
for
had
me,
them,
it's
you
not
had them
a
as a
clear
top
home
7
run.
team in the entire NFL.
Yeah, and the AFC West has 2 of my top 7 teams.
I feel
And
the
they
same
are-
way.
3 of them actually: Chiefs, Chargers, and Broncos.
I feel the
Chiefs
same way.
are getting overrated.
I don't think so.
They're getting
And
overrated.
you over here trying to debate whether or not Russell Wilson is better than Herbert and
bro.
Mahomes, and we know it's obvious.
putting
He's
my
the
hat
third
on.
best.
Come on.
He's the third best quarterback in that division.
I understand.
I don't care.
He's the third
Literally
best
just
quarterback in
entered
that
this year.
division.
Just went out that one. See ya.
Russell Wilson's a home run move. If you don't think it's a home run move, I don't know what the fuck a home run move is.
I don't
We're
know
talking-
what to tell you.
All right, we'll see when the season starts. But to me, it's not an automatic home run move.
All right, 9-8.
Because
Panthers,
what
don't
is
think I forgot.
what is we just talked about baseball in this show. What is
Okay.
a home run? What is a home run?
You get
There's
one
multiple-
run.
there's
You
multiple-
get one
yeah.
run from a
There's
home
multiple home runs in the
One
in MLB, bro.
home run is when you hit it and you see it go out the park, right? So that means you had success.
But
All right,
there's
you had
difference.
great
If
success.
you're losing
You had
10-0
the
and you
most
get a home run
success.
is 10-1. That doesn't change anything.
Here's the home run move. All right, here we go.
Not, you can't, it's not
go
an analogy.
You go from Drew Lock, you go from Teddy Bridgewater to a top 10 QB at the absolute minimum. Absolute minimum. Home run. Simple.
Home run.
That's it.
A home run.
Can you stop, please?
I have to see.
All right, let's go.
I have to
Next
see.
topic, please.
Like,
for my
example,
sanity.
For example, the Jets, right now, projecting, we hit a home run in the draft with Sauce, Jermaine, and
They are
Garrett
hell,
Wilson.
You guys might not
Infinitely
even
more
win.
questionable
You guys-
than
No,
Russell
I know,
Wilson.
but you're not letting me finish what I was going to say. If those rookies don't pan out, is that still a home run draft?
No.
Okay. So
I'm not
your
worried
definition,
about
calling it a
so
home run
your
draft.
so your
Panning out.
definition on home run is depending on what type of season
But
the
you just called
Broncos
it a home
had.
run.
You're comparing rookies to a first ballot
No.
Super Bowl winning
I'm
quarterback.
not comparing Russell. I'm not talking about Russell Wilson, a player. I know who the player is. I'm talking about what the Broncos as a team will accomplish. If you don't think they're gonna win a division, and if they barely make the playoffs, that's not a home run move.
I think they can get into the wild card, win 2 playoff games, and that's still a home run move for them. They
And
haven't
me,
made the
I've been
playoffs in
vocal
years.
about it on the show that I'm lower on the Broncos than most.
You are.
Have them 7th in the NFL. That's not that
Roster-wise.
low.
Roster wise, yes, it's a power ranking based on rosters. Based on rosters. It's
Like,
based on
I
rosters.
have them.
So we have
third
the
in division,
7th
but
best
it's not.
roster in the NFL,
Yes,
but we're not like that.
you're not first in the division. No,
But we're a 7th best team in the NFL.
and the Chargers to me are a top 4.
Okay, what does that have to do with anything? I'm
Dad,
talking about the Broncos.
I don't have you guys as the division winner.
I mean, that doesn't matter when we're talking about, because you don't need to be the division winner to win the Super
You
Bowl
don't.
or
You
go deep
don't.
in the playoffs
At all.
We just saw San Fran do it, did we not? With a
well, yeah,
far,
to go deep in the playoffs. Yeah, but when does Russell Wilson go deep in the playoffs in the last 5 years? When has he
he
done
went
it?
to 2 back-to-back
This is
Super
the best
Bowls.
Because he
roster
had
he's
the
over
Legion
those
of
5
Boom.
years.
Okay, and
This
he
is the
wasn't
best
great in
roster
those
he's
runs
had
either
over
way.
the
He
last
had
5 years.
well, the Legion of Boom was significantly better than how he played.
I mean, no duh. We're talking about one of the best defenses
yeah,
of all time.
yeah, he got
This
carried.
Broncos
by-
roster is a lot better than the Seattle roster and better coaching over the last 5 years. Better running backs.
that's
better
Receivers, they
coaching. You
probably
don't even
got.
know how the coach is going to be. He's a rookie coach.
No, well, we've seen the different offense corners that came through. What's the old Jets offense corner? I'm blanking on
Ryan
his name.
Schottenheimer?
Ryan Schottenheimer, who's in there, and he would eat the first half of the season. All of a sudden, they just want to give Chris Carson the ball 25 times a game. Russell Wilson goes from being an MVP to being inconsistent as hell over the second half of the year.
well,
not
how much
happening.
of that
No,
has to
they're
do
gonna
with
be-
how much of that has to do with teams adjusting to Russell Wilson as well?
No, that has to do
We
with
act
the
like
coaching.
it's just the
I
coaching
think
staff.
that's very well been written out, and everyone knows that it's been on the coaching staff.
It's
that
also
they
been
let-
on Russ.
They let Russ cook the first half
It's
of the
not
season,
just
and the
it's,
second
Russ.
half he
You act like
significantly
Russ
goes
has no
down.
blame in this. Russ has
He
blame.
doesn't.
In this. He doesn't.
He doesn't.
That's just ridiculous to say that. It's
not.
It is. It
It's
is
not.
ridiculous to say that.
It's not.
To mimic OG right there. It is.
It's not.
Because Russell Wilson, if you watch the film, there are stuff that he doesn't do all that well. So
Like what?
and
See the
especially
middle of the field.
no, he does see the middle of the field better than Kyler Murray. Kyler Murray actually struggles in that department. But Russell Wilson, throughout, it's been well documented that in the second half of the season, he does not perform like the first half of the season. And that is a combination of defenses figuring the Seahawks out and also Russell Wilson's increased offensive input. In that year that you're talking about 2020, right? The 2020 season.
Oh, yeah, he was hurt last year.
Well, you're talking about the 2020 season.
I'm talking about literally like it seems like
Well,
every
you're
year for the
talking
last
well,
5
the
years.
2020 season. Russell Wilson started off as the MVP frontrunner, right? He had more of an offensive input as the year went on. He wanted more offensive input, and he got it. And then the offense got worse. So he got more of the input on the offensive side of the ball, and then it got worse. They let Russ cook that year. They
All right.
threw the ball that year.
This is how easy it can be. All right. Since 2017, Russ, 34 touchdowns, 11 picks. 35 touchdowns, 7 picks. 31 touchdowns, 5 picks. 40 touchdowns, 13 picks. He missed how many games this past season? 4? 3? 25 touchdowns, 6 interceptions. Like, this isn't a regular person.
Oh, he's an elite
Far
quarterback.
from.
He's an
elite.
elite quarterback.
And he's coming into a system with a better offensive line. All right, forget about coaching, right? Let's just look at the roster. He hasn't had a good offensive line since they traded Max Unger in the Jimmy Graham trade. He finally gets a solid offensive line. You know what? If you don't want to say DK Metcalf and
Broncos' offensive line is average. It's not like a great offensive line. It's
and you know what?
okay.
Fine.
It's okay.
If that's what you believe, it's Russell Wilson who can still extend plays. He's not going to have to do it as often as he had to back in Seattle. Jerry Jeudy, Tim Patrick, Cortland Sutton, KJ Hamler. This is a wide receiver court. Given the fact that now Russell Wilson's their quarterback.
That has no player as good as DK Metcalf on that team. Or
Tyler
Tyler Lockett.
Which I was saying, if you want to say that you'd rather those two players, that's your opinion.
Wide receiver room in Seattle's better. Tight end room now in Seattle's better.
If two guys ultimately makes up a better wide receiver core than a well-rounded, more complete wide receiver core, then that's your opinion.
Well, most of the time you're gonna have three wide receivers out there.
Maybe, but we can interchange these guys depending on how deep we are.
If the Broncos are running the ball more, you're gonna have two tight end sets out there.
Not necessarily
when you have two wide receivers out there.
So
you're telling me
we ran it a lot last year because our quarterback was mid.
Most of the time you're gonna have three wide receivers out there.
There's a chance.
Okay, most of the time you're gonna have three wide receivers out there. That means Seattle's 2 over your 3
again
is still
it's going
kind
to
of better.
Be a constant switching because of how deep we are. KJ Hamler's not getting lost on the sidelines.
Okay, the running backs
are great.
It's pretty similar to Seattle though. Chris Carson, Rashad Penny,
Javonte Williams is significantly better.
Now Chris Carson isn't playing football again, bro.
Now, but when Chris Carson was with Russell Wilson, he was a top back in the league.
And why is that?
Because Chris Carson was a good player?
Is that
just because? Are you about to tell me Russell Wilson made Chris Carson good?
Our defense is scheming for Chris Carson?
Well, when they know that Seattle mostly likes to run the ball, Pete Carroll likes to run the ball. Yes, they are.
So they're scheming for Chris Carson. They're not scheming for Russell Wilson.
Well, of course they're scheming for Russell Wilson. It doesn't have to be mutually exclusive.
He opens up the field for them.
Are you telling me Chris Carson's not good, though? Like, what are you telling me?
I'm saying Javonte's better than him. We're getting very sidetracked.
But Rashad Penny without Russell Wilson this year went off.
He was solid. No, that's not true. Russell Wilson was back when Rashad Penny was eating.
Okay, fair. But Rashad Penny was a first-round pick. He was
that took 4 or 5 years. 4 years, excuse me. It took 4 years
because of injury. But when he plays, he is.
It was
good.
literally this season. This season, that was it. He was really good this year. Not taken away from him. We're getting sidetracked.
And that 2020 season, I just looked it up. The first 9 weeks of the season compared to the last 7 weeks of the season, his pass attempts dropped 20%. You could say whatever it was about input, but overall, his pass attempts went down for what seemed to be no reason because he was the MVP the first half of the year.
So you're telling me Russell Wilson is without blame in all of this?
I'm not saying he's without. I mean, if they're
your starting quarterback, plays, you get all the praise. You get.
It's not that you get all the blame.
I didn't say you get all the blame. I get you said you get some blame too.
There is a significant difference between Russell Wilson's tenure in Seattle and Stafford's tenure in Detroit. When you look at Stafford in Detroit, you say no. Detroit, no. That was
Russ had success in Seattle.
Horrible situation. Russ in Seattle, you say, okay, things were great, and then they drifted apart. But let's not act like Seattle was this horrible situation for Russ. Let's not act like it.
No one's saying that it was a horrible situation. These last couple years, play calling has been spotty. The offensive line's been terrible. And that's really all that it is to it. It's been very bad. One of the worst defenses in 2020
defense in terms of DVOA.
2021, excuse me.
The defense in terms of DVOA, Broncos and Seattle last year, similar.
I'm saying over the span of the last 4 or 5 years.
We're a better defensive unit, dude. Like, you don't need to say the DVOA. Like, you can just use context clues, look at the rosters, and say Denver has a better defense.
It's okay. Like, I think Denver, there's question marks, and I think you refusing to acknowledge question marks.
It's not true. My question marks are at the linebacker position.
So you have no question marks about Bradley Chubb staying healthy, who has notoriously been injured his entire career.
I'm just worried about Edge.
I'm not ignorant-minded. I understand.
And Edge, one of the most important positions in football.
He should be fine. Randy Gregory.
So Shelby Harris, that loss is not big at all.
You got DJ Jones.
He's not Shelby Harris.
He's not the leader Shelby Harris is, but
no, he's not the player Shelby Harris.
DJ Jones is going to do a fine job.
He's not the player Shelby Harris.
He's going to do a fine job.
And when we talk about the safety duos, Jamal Adams, Quadre Diggs, that's comparable to what the Broncos have currently.
Justin Simmons is arguably the best safety in the league.
Yeah, but the duo of Jamal Adams and Quadre Diggs, I said that's comparable to what the Broncos have. Let's not act like the Seattle was this shit show. Like Russell Wilson in the playoffs faced the Rams.
Can you name me an edge rusher on Seattle?
No, I can't. At
least I can name you Randy Gregory, Bradley Chubb.
Yes, I know. And in terms of edge rushers, yes, that's clear. What they
don't have Bobby no more.
But they also have the rookie Jordan Brooks. Jordan Brooks is a very good linebacker.
Listen, I'm not saying that our linebacking core is good. No way. Theirs is not that good either. Secondary wise, it's a clearing.
The reason why they let Bobby Wagner go is because Jordan Brooks was better than him last year.
And also
Bobby's lost a step.
Yeah, that too.
Yes.
And Jordan Brooks is better than everybody on your roster at linebacker.
I mean, we don't have linebackers, so it's easy to say.
If linebackers are biggest weakness, you have a pretty good team.
I agree.
And they got Uchenna Nwosu from the Chargers, Seattle. So that's the edge rusher that they have, who's now playing in a different scheme.
How many sacks do you have last year?
And I wasn't saying that to minimize your knowledge. I'm simply saying that to show the fact that their defense is not great.
Their defense is. I never said that Seattle's defense
But you're
was
saying
great.
that comparatively to the Broncos.
In terms of DVOA last year,
who really
it was similar.
cares about that?
DVOA is advanced defensive analytics.
I don't care.
Broncos
And
were
it's a better
top
way to
3
measure
in
what
defensive
defense
points per
are.
game, and they were the first team since the 90s to miss the playoffs. I think they'll be fine.
Oh yeah, and they lost.
Now we got
they
Russell
lost their
Wilson.
defensive coordinator, which is huge.
And we lost the defensive head coach.
Losing Vic is going to hurt for sure,
Yeah.
but I think getting Russell Wilson
I think
is
losing
going to
Vic,
offset that for sure.
losing Vic Fangio is gonna hurt significantly.
But again, you just don't forget the defensive principles you learned last season.
I think if you're a top 15 defense still, if after they're just top 3 and you just acquire Russell Wilson, I think your team's going to figure it out.
Let's say at the absolute worst, we're a top 15 defense. We're making the playoffs.
Yes.
And the AFC is not a lock.
Our offense is going to be great. Our schedule is not hard.
We mentioned this already, though. Your offense is going to be great. It's not going to be better than the Bills. It's not going to be better than the Bengals. It's not going to be better than the Chiefs. I think that people are sleeping on the Chiefs.
We could have a better offense than the Chiefs.
I don't think you guys have a better offense than the Raiders.
Their offensive line's mid still, but they do have some explosive.
The Chargers can, with Justin Herbert, they can definitely have a better offense than you guys, too.
I agree.
So even with the Broncos and this Russell Wilson addition,
so we're a top 4 offense
you're not
in the
a
AFC.
top 5 offense in the AFC.
But they're going to be a top 10 offense in the
me.
NFL. The AFC is just stacked. They're still going to be a top 10 offense in the
The
NFL.
AFC is stacked. That's what I'm saying. If they don't make the playoffs, this isn't a home run move.
But every team in the conference, every team in the division can make it.
Even still, if they don't make the playoffs this year, like if they go to Super Bowl over the next 3 years, it's a home run move.
Making the playoffs.
They're gonna. I agree.
So you think they're going to the Super Bowl in the next 3 years?
I'm just saying you can't base it off one season.
No, I'm
you
asking
can't just
him.
say, they missed the playoffs 1 year. You completely folded.
It's going to take not this season. It's not going to take 1 week for me to realize unless we come out absolutely guns blazing against Seattle.
They have a better chance than the
Week
Colts.
2 against Houston. That's another one. Week 3 against San Fran. That could be really the deciding factor for me if we're going to the Super Bowl.
They have a better chance than the Indianapolis Colts.
If you want to say that. Don't eat your words later on in the season.
You're going to eat your words. You're
On
shitting
what, the
on
Broncos?
Russell.
I'm not shitting on Russell
You are.
Wilson.
You're saying it's
No,
not a
I'm
home
not.
run. Automatic shitting.
Yeah,
It's
nah,
not.
you're
I
crazy,
said
bro.
it depends on what type of success they have with Russell Wilson. It depends.
So
if it's a
again,
home run.
now
Me,
we can circle
I've
back
been
to
lower
it. This is
on the
a
Broncos.
This is a pointless argument, and I don't mean that disrespectfully. It's a pointless argument because you won't adjust that thought process until you see it come the season. So ultimately, this was a pointless conversation.
No, I can adjust the thought process based on other things.
Components. Mhm.
But the bottom line is that there are a lot of question marks with the Broncos.
A lot.
That the reason why
this
the
is what
reason,
now I'm fixated on this. A lot.
yes, there
What?
are a lot.
Tell me a lot.
For one, coaching. I don't know how good Nathaniel Hackett's going to be.
Oh my God! How many people have vouched for him? Fine, he's a rookie coach. That's fine.
Well, that's a
All right,
concern.
all right. If
That's
that's
a
what
valid
you want,
concern.
fine, go ahead.
You were under Matt LaFleur and Aaron Rodgers. How good are you going to be? Number
Even though
two,
Rodgers says that Nathaniel Hackett was huge in his hand of having back-to-back MVPs.
okay.
Okay, continue. I'm
Aaron
fine with
Rodgers
it.
is going to do Aaron Rodgers.
Okay, fine. Right, minimize it. Go ahead. Next
People
one.
minimize Matt LaFleur still.
This is my concern. Linebackers. End the conversation.
It's not linebackers. It's the health of Bradley Chubb. That's a huge component to
He played
this.
8 games, had 0 sacks. He could be healthy and still be mid.
Okay, but that's a concern to it because Randy Gregory, I think, is a really good
He's a
edge
fine ball
rusher,
player.
but he is a complementary to a great edge rusher. He cannot be your best edge rusher, and you are one of the top duos in the
Who
league.
knows?
Honestly, I'm more worried. I just want the receiving core to stay healthy.
I agree.
We've seen Sutton tear an ACL,
So
Judy with the ankle injury,
just with that,
Hamler
like
with ACL.
just with that. So Nathaniel Hackett, the health of Bradley Chubb, your linebacker core is also a question mark. I think your receivers, although you have depth, there are some questions about how good is Jerry Jeudy.
They just need to stay healthy.
God.
They just need to stay healthy.
Because
That's it.
you are under
Wilson.
this is the difference between, and maybe this is where we don't see eye to eye, because I am more pessimistic on the Broncos and I lean towards this way, which means that even with you giving me some
Fine points.
facts of
Thank you.
optimism,
Appreciate that.
I am still hesitant to believe in it. With you are all in because that's your team, to the point that you're saying Judy's having 1,200 yards.
Saying it's my
the
team,
running
it
backs.
minimizes what I'm
Melvin
saying.
Gordon, Javante are both going for 1,000 easily.
not what I said.
This offensive line is top 10. So like you are overly optimistic in
That's not
your
true. Listen.
analysis.
No, what you just did was try to minimize my thought process because I'm a fan. That's what you tried to do.
You're overly optimistic about the
But
Broncos.
I won't appreciate that because I've said it, and I feel like I'm not the only one that said it, that the Broncos have been a quarterback away for years. Now, we're not getting a regular quarterback. We're not getting Baker Mayfield. We're getting Russell Wilson. It's that simple of why you should be high on the Broncos. Because we just got a top 10. When he was at his best, 2 seasons ago? He was a top 4 quarterback in the NFL?
Last year.
Him being a top 4 quarterback is done and over with.
That's not true.
Yes, it is.
That's not true. Tell me why he can't.
Never talk about Matt Ryan again in your life, then. Never talk about Matt Ryan
That's
again in
a
your
fact.
fucking life.
What do you
If
want-
you want to
fact.
use that logic, you can never talk about Matt Ryan again on the show ever unless you're saying he's a top 18 quarterback.
That's a.
What is?
That's
what is
it.
where is that
What do you
coming
mean?
Because
from?
you said
What
it
do
was
you mean?
over.
Where
You
is that
said 2
coming
years
from?
ago. You said, oh, it's over. All you do is bring up Matt Ryan stats from 2016
Wait.
to 2020.
I said it's over for Russell Wilson being a top 4 quarterback. Do you not agree with that?
There's a world where Russell
Why is that crazy?
is in the
Patrick
conversation.
Mahomes, Josh Allen,
Okay, you can name
Justin
them in
Herbert,
hindsight. That's fine.
Aaron Rodgers. That's
Okay,
4.
Or if that's
You want me to
going
mention?
into the
You want me to
season.
mention Joe Burrow too?
If you do that, Russell Wilson will show you that he is better. Because
So,
we're getting to the
so
point that
do you think Russell Wilson is better than any of those 4 quarterbacks?
not right now.
At the
And
end of
I'm
the
telling
season,
you
he
this
could be in the
as a Broncos
conversation.
fan. He could be.
But I just don't understand where the Matt Ryan point came from.
Because you're saying that you're shitting on
I'm not shitting
Russell.
on him. You just said top 4 quarterback. I said no.
You
He's
called
not.
said he
Matt Ryan an
was.
elite quarterback. You have called him a million times on the
He
show.
won
Matt Ryan an
MVP.
elite. In 2016, I don't give a fuck.
He
It's
literally,
2016, bro.
Matt Ryan literally
2016.
won an award
In
for
2016.
being the best player in the
2016.
NFL. He literally
I was
won
in
that
high
award.
school.
It was in 20,
He literally
it was in
won that
20s.
award.
It
I was in
it
high school,
2016.
bro.
He literally won that award.
How old were you when he won?
How old was
Like
I?
17,
I was
16?
18. I'm 23 now.
So you were 17.
And Matt Ryan in
You
2019.
just got your license.
Matt Ryan in 2019 threw 35 touchdowns, and you watch the film. He doesn't look much different than now than he did then.
He was 2016.
Matt Ryan was top 10 in every single accuracy measurement this past year in football, despite having the worst protection rate in football.
Arthur Smith, man, he's a genius.
He's not a genius.
Really?
No.
Really?
We'll see this. Don't you have the Falcons winning 2 games?
I do. One.
You have them winning 2 games.
Max.
The genius winning 2 games. That's why if you want to throw the Matt Ryan thing at me.
Can't call him elite.
I know Matt Ryan is. If you think he's not elite, he's great. What?
He's an above average quarterback.
Above average is
Yes,
so
he's
stupid.
Can I ask you a
above
question?
I'm gonna be
good.
honest. That's really dumb.
He's
Can I ask you a
above average
question?
to good.
Can I ask you a
That's
question?
really
Can I
dumb.
ask you
No,
a
it's
question?
not.
That's really
Are-
dumb.
It's above average to good.
That's really dumb.
Because maybe we might not disagree here. Our top 14 guys, great.
There's a gap. There's a gap between because in that range lies the Derek Carrs,
11 through
the
4.
Dak
Derek Carr
Prescotts,
isn't elite. Dak
the
is
Matt
elite.
No,
Ryan.
we're not
Kirk is
saying
not
elite.
They're
We're not
great.
saying elite.
They're all great.
I'm asking, can they be great?
What are you talking about?
In
I'm
terms
asking,
of what?
11 through 14.
For a game, for a season?
Can a court would
For a
you,
season,
would you say
Dak
that
Prescott has been
quarterback's
great for
Is Dak
seasons.
Prescott great?
He's borderline great.
Is Derek Carr great?
Borderline.
Is Kirk Cousins great? I
No.
would say
Matt
no.
Ryan is better than Kirk Cousins.
I don't. I
He
don't
can extend
strongly
plays.
disagree. I don't
What
disagree.
What are we talking about?
It's close.
I don't- I'm not
Matt
disagreeing.
Ryan is in that tier with
He
the
is.
Carrs
He
and
is.
Prescotts, and then it's Kirk
is.
that's on the outside looking in.
Nah, it's close.
'Cause
It's close
Kirk can't
to me.
extend
Kirk wins
plays.
one playoff game and the conversation's over.
Because Kirk can't extend
That's
plays.
the only issue with Kirk is
In
the playoff
2022.
record.
In 2022, yes, that's all that matters.
Yeah.
In 2022, it's not overly crazy to say.
Kirk's done better numbers than Matt Ryan.
That's why it's not
He's been in
overly
a better
crazy.
situation.
He has.
I'm talking about this year. Kirk is going to have better numbers than Matt Ryan.
He is. He
There's
is.
a possibility that happens.
I don't think so. I think it's
that doesn't
But
mean
I
he's
do
better
believe
than
it's
him.
likely.
See, I think that Kirk will have better numbers, but I think that Matt Ryan will still have a fine statistical season with
Yeah.
wins, which ultimately
Well,
will
Kirk's
have
going to get
most.
wins too. We all had them with double-digit wins.
Had them 9.
You got him at 9?
The defense, I still got to see it.
That doesn't mean he's a better quarterback if you have better stats, though.
No,
But it's stats plus wins.
it's true. It's the
And the
You-
Colts are winning the division.
Okay, and
Which
we,
is why
and
I
we
say it's
both had
possible.
the Vikings a game behind the Green Bay Packers. They're going to make the wild
But
card
ultimately,
at that
we
point.
know Packers are going to win that division.
I know, but
we have a
again, bro,
strong
just
feeling.
because Kirk Cousins has Aaron Rodgers to deal with and Matt Ryan has fucking Trevor Lawrence and Davis Mills to deal with.
Don't forget about
Trevor
Ryan
Lawrence
Tannehill.
is going to be
Ryan Tannehill.
Trevor Lawrence is going to be a great quarterback.
Not
One
this
day.
year.
One day.
I think this year he's gonna show a lot
How
of
many
people that
wins
he's
are the
really
Jags
good.
getting, bro?
I mean, I was
Six?
more.
Five?
Maybe.
They can get 6 for
Okay.
sure. 5, 6.
Sick.
That doesn't mean Trevor Lawrence. That
Nah,
doesn't mean
you
you can't.
can take strides.
That doesn't mean you can't watch
take
Trevor Lawrence
strides.
and say, "Wow, he's a great
Talking about
quarterback."
Aaron Rodgers.
No one's saying that he's
We're
going to be
talking,
top
but
10.
that's
We're not
why,
talking
that's why
about
the
that
whole division
competition.
thing doesn't
I
make sense to me
understand. I
because
understand.
it's like they have
I
Aaron
understand.
Rodgers, the Green Bay Packers, who have been one of the
You
best
know,
teams of football.
the
for
reason,
the last 10 years.
the reason why, for one, this was a Russell Wilson thing that turned into a Matt Ryan thing because you love bringing up Matt Ryan at every turn of the stop. You love bringing up Matt Ryan.
It was sound.
No, you love bringing up Matt
because
Ryan.
you said you can't talk about Russell Wilson from 2020 when you just bring up
That
Matt
was
did I
2
say-
years ago.
when did I say that? No,
You
I
did
didn't.
say that.
No, I didn't.
You said his,
I didn't
you said
say
his
that.
top 4 days are
It's-
done,
you
which
said
is
his top
2020.
Yes,
All right.
his top 4 days are done because in 2020, Josh Allen was not as good as he was right now.
All right, can I ask you a question? Matthew Stafford, before the season, did anyone have him in his top 10? In the top 10?
Yes.
People had Matthew Stafford in the top 10.
When you're telling me, you want me to show you my quarterback list?
When Baker Mayfield was a fringe top 10, you're telling me that people had Matthew Stafford over Baker Mayfield?
Yes, easily.
I looked up the NFL list. I promise you, Baker Mayfield actually was closer to 10 than you'd believe. He was number 11.
Yeah, I was.
Do you know what
I
number
told
Matthew
you.
Stafford was?
What?
Dude, I think he was 14th.
I believe you.
Like-
He was stuck in Detroit.
He comes to a new situation, completely different conversation. Lock top 10, at the absolute least top 8. That's what happens when you change sceneries, and it's beneficial to your career.
I agree.
Now you're coming to Denver. It's a whole different ball game.
The change of scenery for Russell Wilson is not going to this already established place. Matthew
Pretty
Stafford going
established. They
from
were
the
top 3 defense last
All
year.
right, can I ask you a
Stafford-
question? Was
Staff-
Tampa Bay established?
if you saw it coming, they were.
Okay, and I'm
you
here.
saw it coming, they
See,
were.
but that,
Yeah,
like,
I got you.
That's it.
I got you.
It's done.
I got you.
It's
If
done.
you saw it coming,
it's done. So that
because I picked them to make. I
it's
picked
in
them to
eye
win
of
the Super Bowl.
beholder. It's in the eye of the beholder at that point. If you saw
if
it
you
coming,
saw it
it's in the
coming,
eye of the beholder.
here I am
Yeah.
seeing it coming, and I'm a casual for that. Can we please?
I got you, bro.
No, I didn't call you a casual for it.
I'm speaking
When did I call you
hyperbole.
casual?
I'm
I didn't
speaking
call you. I
hyperbole.
didn't call you a
Come
casual
on,
not
man.
once.
I'm speaking hyperbole.
I did not call you a casual not once.
Come on.
So what are you talking about?
If you see it coming, like you just fed exactly
that's
into what
crazy.
I'm saying.
That's crazy.
Okay, just because you see it coming doesn't mean I have to agree with you.
I don't. I'm fine. I'm not
I
saying.
picked the Buccaneers to win the Super Bowl
Nobody
that
had to
year.
agree with you about the Bucks. If it comes true, it comes true. Drew thinks it's gonna come true.
I didn't want nobody to agree with me. I wanted to be alone in that boat.
I had the Bucks being really good. I actually had the Packers being.
I had them.
remember
I
what
had the
fans'
Bucks winning
reaction.
Super Bowl from that June. Once they got
Yeah, listen,
Brady,
we,
I had them.
we
win
knew
it.
we knew the Bucks were going to be great. It's Brady. It's
The
not a
reason
regular
why I
person.
said-
Here's the same thing. Russ is not regular. He's not Brady.
I didn't
Brady's the
say
greatest.
I didn't say that Russ can't match his 2020 production. I didn't say that. I said
So that would make him top 4.
no, it wouldn't.
He had 40
Because-
touchdowns.
Because right now, currently, Patrick Mahomes is better. Do you disagree? Justin Herbert
one
is
season-
better than
for
him.
one
Why can't-
season,
what do you
Russell-
mean?
for
What
one
do you mean?
season,
What are you
Russell
talking
Wilson
about?
one
was top
season, Russell
4.
can't be one of the best quarterbacks in the
Okay,
league.
so no, let me ask you this because you were so fixated on these things. You want to bring him at Ryan or whatever. So if Russell Wilson does have a top 4 season, right? Let's say he has the season you're talking about. Are you putting him as a top 5 quarterback as the season ends?
For
Or are you still putting Mahomes and Allen and Herbert over him?
2023, you're saying?
Yeah. If you were making a quarterback list, because you told me you were making a quarterback list soon, right?
I am this week or next. Yeah.
Where does Russell Wilson rank?
Right now,
Yeah,
he's probably
on
like
your list.
7 or 8.
Okay, who was in front of him?
No one
Rodgers,
is
Brady,
disagreeing.
Mahomes, Allen, Herbert.
Mahomes,
That's
Allen,
5.
Herbert. Mahomes, Allen, Herbert.
All right, I'll give you mine. Here we go.
Mahomes.
'Cause these are probably the ones you'll have.
So
Josh
both
Allen.
guys that are young and just gonna keep ascending. All three guys for sure that Russell Wilson will definitely not be better than.
Question: did people give up on Aaron Rodgers when he was slumping prior to these back-to-back MVPs?
Did
people
you? I don't know. Not me.
Did people give up on him? The general public, did they give up on Aaron Rodgers?
I guess so. Yes.
They
Would
did.
you say people dropped him out of their top 4?
Probably.
He's not in. He's not
I'm
in your
asking
top
you
4
a question.
now.
That's not true. He is number.
Oh, he's
you're right.
he's just
You're
making.
right.
Oh,
No, you're right.
I'm
You're
right. Yeah, he's
You're
not in your top 4 now.
He's right, 'cause I have Brady. God
After
forbid.
back-to-back MVPs,
All right,
he's not
fine.
even top 4 for you.
All right, he's number 5. Would you
So
say
now
people
top
dropped
4.
him out of the top 5 when he was slumping back in the day when he weren't making the playoffs?
Yes.
So why is it irresponsible
It's
to
possible
think
because Tom Brady's
that
going to
he
retire.
can't be back into the top
And all
five.
he has to beat out is Rodgers and Stafford. And that's with, you're saying Mahomes, Herbert, and Allen have no fall off, which I don't think happens, but it's possible Mahomes has his worst statistical season of all time this year.
It is possible because he does not have the supporting cast that he once had.
Herbert and Allen, it's probably going to be hard
Mahomes
to
is not the
overcome
guy
that.
to sleep on.
No one's sleeping.
I'm not
on
sleeping on him.
Mahomes.
I'm not.
Mahomes
hell
is
no.
not the guy to
I'm
sleep
not,
on.
I'm not.
So you think he's gonna have his worst statistical season this year?
There's
Mahomes?
I'm saying
this is the
this-
best chance he's
yeah.
going to have.
But do you
to be
think
the
it's gonna
worst.
happen? There's a difference between there's a chance and do you think
I
it's
mean,
gonna
we
happen?
just saw his worst statistical season this past year, where he was one of the league's leading interception throwers. Is that false or is that true?
Half of his receptions were caused by receivers. Watch film, bro.
Are you really going to do that to me?
Watch film and get better. Yeah, that's a fact. Half of his picks were dropped by receivers. They went off their hands. Tyreek Hill was one of the main culprits.
There's a chance. I mean, 2019, his touchdowns weren't there, only on 26, but he still was averaging 290 yards per game, had a 105 passer rating. I mean, there's a chance. You never know.
No Tyreek Hill. Your wide receiver one's Juju Smith-Schuster. Listen, I'm high on Juju if this is a fantasy league. If we're talking fantasy, I would have Juju on my team, sure. Yeah. Sky Moore's a rookie. MVS is not someone. If Aaron Rodgers can barely make you relevant, Patrick Mahomes, who has yet
Mahomes can't. What are you talking about?
At this point in time, who has Mahomes elevated?
That's funny, bro.
Answer me that question.
Nah, that's funny.
Who
That's
has he elevated? Since he's going to ignore me, who has Mahomes elevated?
Kelsey and Tyreek have been elite.
Because Tyreek Hill was really good before Mahomes got there. Kelsey has been an 1,000-yard tight end
Like
for
6
years.
Yeah.
So you don't.
Who
think,
has he elevated?
Wait,
Answer me.
Okay.
No one.
He has made those guys better. Just because Kelsey was elite and Hill was elite,
has he elevated a mediocre weapon?
No.
You could debate. Yeah,
No.
yes.
Who?
McCole Hardman, Byron Pringle, even CEH they took in the first
He elevated
rounds.
Sammy Watkins. When Sammy Watkins played, Sammy Watkins had some
didn't.
big time games.
No, bro, Sammy Watkins never had more than 600 yards on the Chiefs.
He had some big time games for them.
Yeah, week one he would eat and then disappear.
Wait, so hold up.
If you have 600 yards, that's elevating. That's not.
So
that's
you're
not
telling
elevating.
me, because what you just said, you said if Aaron Rodgers can't do it, then Mahomes can't do it. That's what you basically said, right? That's what you
exactly what I
basically said. That's what you. So you don't think Mahomes will do it?
That's exactly what I've said, and I've said it multiple occasions.
So you're telling me right now on this show, June 6, 2022.
July.
Patrick Mahomes will not elevate the weapons around him on the Kansas City Chiefs this upcoming season.
There's a chance that Juju Smith-Schuster is the only wide receiver that does well statistically.
There's outside of Kelsey, maybe one player gets 1,000 yards.
Sky Moore's a rookie. They took him in the first round, I believe. Back in the second round. I apologize. Early pick in the second round. There's a chance that Sky Moore has success, but it is more likely than not that he will not.
All right, Mahomes is not the guy to.
No one's sleeping on him. I'm stating facts because it's been Kelsey, it's been Tyreek, and irrelevancy after that. Because Demarcus Robinson,
Not once.
McCole Hardman,
Who they took in the first round.
Sammy Watkins.
They didn't take McCole Hardman in the first round.
Second round. Sorry.
These are guys that
They took CEH in the first round, who Mahomes handpicked and couldn't make it work.
CEH has been one of the most underwhelming. We talk about Rashad Penny. At least CEH has at least been on the field, but even still, CEH we had expectation for, and he's been completely underwhelming. Rashad Penny we didn't have expectation for.
He was the first round pick.
No, for sure. That's the only reason you have expectation. That's it.
So does Russell Wilson not get any blame for not making Dwayne Eskridge better?
He made, damn it, 83 more. He made more relevant.
Moore's best season was like 400 yards, bro.
He still was a deep threat for him.
You don't think MVS is going to be better than Moore was? Bro, his
No, he
best
could be.
season was 445 yards.
He could be.
400, that's elevating,
He
bro.
could.
That's elevating, though, for real. Like 445 yards.
How many yards is Tyler Lockett going to have
I
this
was
year?
literally just going to ask you that.
He can still, I think he would have like 800, 900.
He's had 3
realistically.
straight 1,000-yard seasons. 2018, he had 965. So more or less, he's had 4 years of 1,000 yards. I'll be, if he cracks 800, I think
Impressed.
you'd be happy.
I would be impressed.
Yeah, I mean, look, if you want to doubt Mahomes, doubt him for, have fun.
Like
Have fun. Have fun with that.
He showed that he was human this playoffs.
Yep.
He had
I'm not doubting
unbelievable-
Mahomes.
I'm not doubting
I'm not doubting
Mahomes.
Mahomes at all.
No,
That's-
you are doubting him.
No.
I'm saying that he cannot elevate mediocre players. That's not doubting
He
him.
could be a top 5 quarterback in the year and have a down statistical season, and next year they could go and probably trade for a top 10 receiver.
and the
he's right
reason
back
why
there.
I've
Okay,
shown respect
listen.
to Juju is because Juju is slightly better than mediocre.
Okay, look, it's good that this segment went on longer than usual because I was actually going through my top 10 quarterbacks heading into the this past season. This past season it happened.
Going
So
into 2021.
going into 2021, this was March 24th.
Thing is, yes, if you're gonna say Matthew Stafford, we had Matthew Stafford as jumping significantly.
No, look, let's just hear it.
10, Matthew Stafford.
Like
And
I'm
at
not
number
surprised.
9, I have Justin.
Number 10, Stafford. Number 9, Herbert. Let me see what else I have. Number 8, Lamar. Number 7, Kyle. I thought he'd do better. He didn't. Number 6 was Russell. I still thought Russell was the top 6.
No shit.
5 was Russell. No, 6 was Russell. No, 5 was Russell.
So
4
Russell was a
Deshaun.
top 5 going into last season.
4 was Deshaun. 3 was Brady.
Situation.
2 was Mahomes. And who did I have 1? I had 1 Aaron Rodgers.
Josh Allen
Yeah.
6 probably.
Yeah, Josh Allen was 6. So, yes,
You
Russell
had
Wilson was 5th.
Wilson.
Russell
You had
Wilson was
Russell
5th.
Wilson
Okay.
over Josh Allen going into last season.
Yes, and now Allen is
you're
better.
telling
And now
me-
Allen is better.
I'm not saying you're wrong. I think Allen's
And now
the best
Herbert is
quarterback
also
in the
better,
league.
who I had below him too, going into the season.
It's not.
And now
it's
Herbert
not
is better.
impossible that Russ could have a better season than Herbie.
Even if he has a better season, he's not better. Herbert is better than him. Herbert is better than Russell Wilson, like by a pretty good margin. in my
Really?
opinion. Yes.
Pretty good margin.
Yes.
So he's a Hall of Famer. Clock it.
Not right now, but on his trajectory, he's the first quarterback ever to throw for as
He's
many
amazing.
touchdowns and yards he's done in the
Correct.
first 2 seasons of his
He's
career.
amazing.
He's had the best 2-star year statistically than any quarterback
Herbert's
ever.
unbelievably great, but to say a wide margin is
Right now,
irresponsible.
yeah, it is. Right now, yeah, it is.
Taken away.
This is what happened. No, this is what happens when Russell Wilson gets hurt, right? Because you forget. And when he's on a bad team, you forget who he actually is. This is Matthew Stafford all over again. Please.
Don't sleep.
I'm not sleeping.
You're
Oh,
no.
don't sleep.
You are tucked in a Bobblepedic with the most comfortable blanket you could ever
I'll tell you
imagine.
what, though.
And you're
I'll tell you
you're
what, though.
blowing Z's.
I'll tell you what, I'd rather sleep on the Russell Wilson than Patrick Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes is probably going to go down as the best quarterback.
heard.
Patrick Mahomes is going to go down as one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL, probably when it's all said and done.
Russell Wilson's a first ballot Hall of Famer himself.
He's not on Mahomes level, though. He's not Mahomes.
There's not many guys
He
that
is
are on
not.
Mahomes level.
I know. That's what I'm saying. Like, I feel more comfortable believing in Mahomes than I do Russell Wilson.
Wow.
So if you want to,
Hot take here.
I didn't say it was a hot take. This is not meant to be a hot take.
Like Russell Wilson, okay, if you want to put Mahomes, Herbert, Allen, and Rodgers and have Russell Wilson be number 5 his ceiling, I think most Broncos fans are going to fucking take that.
Yeah, but I don't think he's going to
If
be
Russell Wilson's a top 5 quarterback, lock it. We're going to the bowl. If he's a top 5 quarterback with the roster we have, we're going to the chip. Simple.
When does the NFL season start? 10
Ugh,
weeks, right?
Not soon enough.
Preseason starts in a month.
12
10
Sundays.
weeks.
12
Okay.
Sundays. Shout out our boy Harrison.
Yeah, it's funny because I'm just gonna be looking and watching. I mean, you're gonna be on the show every week, so I'm just gonna be looking each week. The disappointment just
They
continuing
start with
to
Seattle
grow
and
and
Houston.
sour.
He's going to be coming out here
We're
the
going
first 2 of the
2-0.
weeks of the show. Yeah, elated.
I was about to get graphic.
I know. I saw the
My
gesture.
God. Let's go to the next topic because ultimately
We
we were
just added,
talking
like, 3
about
topics
we
to
were
the show.
talking about Baker Mayfield.
Then you wanted to talk about Matt Ryan.
No, you want to
You
say
have
you
this
to,
Matt Ryan hate
Low-key,
in
you
your
did
heart
this.
that I don't
You
know
did
what
this,
your
low-key.
problem
Bro,
is.
he said we can't talk about Russell
don't
Wilson
listen.
with last time
You
he was
don't have
healthy.
to tell
No, I did not.
You said you have to throw out Russell Wilson in 2020. That's what you
no,
said.
I didn't, bro. What are
Bro,
you talking about?
You said we have to throw out
I
Russell
said this
Wilson.
last show and I'll say it again. You love to put things in my mouth.
Why do you guys say it like that, bro? Like, come on. On some shit.
No, but on some dead ass shit though, I didn't say that, bro. Drew literally said, like, and this is people be hitting me up after the show and they be like, "Yo, they be lying on your name, bro." I'll be like, "I know, but I have
This
to
is
take
Burners
it.
DMing
I have to take it every time. You guys be lying on my
I
name.
don't be lying. My memory is so
did he- you
sound.
be
It's
lying
crazy.
on-
Like when you the other day when you said I said Jamal Murray was the best like player performer I've ever seen.
No,
I didn't say that shit. I didn't say that shit. I said he's a superstar playoff performer.
You said
I didn't say he's one of the best I've ever seen.
Performers of recent memory.
I said he's a superstar
That's
playoff
exactly
performer.
what
You
you
didn't
said.
say that I've ever seen. Though. I didn't say that.
I'm telling you.
But just like here,
this never fails me.
Just like
this right here never fails me.
Just like here now, Drew literally said Russell Wilson top 4 quarterback. I said he will not be.
That's
top
what I said,
4.
and I said you said
I never.
that.
No,
I didn't.
He said throughout 2020.
No, I did not.
No, he didn't
I did
say
not
he
say
didn't
that.
say
What are you
throughout 2020.
talking
I'm
about?
almost positive. You said
didn't.
something
He said-
about
no, he said this.
disregarding the 2020 season.
I didn't say
He
that.
said that was
Top-
2 years
he
ago.
said his top 4 days are over.
That's
what he
That's
said.
what that argument stemmed from.
we got to rewind the tape.
No, I promise. That's what he said.
We gotta
See
rewind
again.
the tape.
It doesn't
Because I
fail
wouldn't
me.
just bring it up for no reason.
No, yeah, you would bring it up because
I
you was
wouldn't.
in your little cocoon there.
I wasn't.
Just chilling. You didn't even know what's going on.
I wasn't.
You literally, we were talking about Russell Wilson, and he's just like Matt Ryan. Like literally, I'm like, what? Where'd he
But
come
you're
from?
saying that
You
his
said some
days are
shit.
behind
Huh?
him. You're saying his top 4 days are behind him.
So I
then
never
about
got the answer to
transitive
that question. Why can't I talk about Matt Ryan, man?
What Drew was just about to say,
Mm-hmm.
his top 4 days are behind him, even though it was 2 years ago. Although you love to bring out Matt Ryan being elite and bringing up his 2016 season, although that was 6
And
years
2019, 35 touchdowns 2019.
ago. Okay, 3 years ago.
Yeah, he looks literally the same right now than he did it then.
I disagree,
Literally,
but
literally.
whatever. Okay.
That's a fact.
They're gonna lose in the playoffs. They'll win the division because they have a
Oh
sorry
wow,
ass
they'll
division.
lose in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Where in the playoffs? We have no idea. That's so vague.
They
Only
have
2 teams make the Super Bowl out of 32. Oh, somebody's gonna lose.
Okay, they'll lose round
And the Colts
one.
are going to be one of them.
They'll lose
I
round
guess maybe we'll see.
Colts are going to make the
They
playoffs.
definitely have a legit
one. They
chance
have an
to
easy
make a run.
schedule
They'll make
in
the
a
playoffs.
light division.
They have a legit chance to make a run. Yeah,
Oh, yeah, like they'll win
yeah.
maybe a.
They got more of a chance than the Jets.
Come on, man.
Not as good of a chance as the Broncos.
No, they have just as good as a chance.
I disagree.
They have just as good a chance. So next time, you know what? Crunch up the Matt Ryan film. Go in the lab. Look. I'm gonna give you into the seasons. You said 10 Sundays into the season.
12.
12. I'm gonna give you 12 Sundays into the season to backtrack what you say about Ryan and give him his flowers because you've been disrespectful to Matty.
You can do the same thing with No Arm Lamar.
What are you talking about?
You
can
can do the
backtrack
same
that.
thing with No Arm
I've
Lamar.
been backtracked that, bro. What are you talking
Bro,
about?
you
You
said it
lying
like a month
ass.
ago when it was just me and you on the show. I said you could backtrack it right now
Bro,
or else
I was
don't.
joking. That's a joke. But you're not joking about Matt Ryan. That's the difference. You're being dead serious.
No. This is where we get misconstrued. You think he's elite. I think he's an above average
I literally
quarterback.
just said he's great. Didn't I say that, Drew?
Great.
Who?
Matt Ryan.
Great and elite
He
are
did say great.
synonyms.
No, that's wrong. That's wrong. That's wrong. I'm sorry, Joel. That's wrong as hell. That's super wrong.
I know I did not put Matt Ryan in that top 5 tier, bro.
No, he didn't.
I literally said
That's
great.
why
You
we
called
had
him
a
elite.
I've heard you call him
You
elite.
called him
He
elite.
is an elite quarterback.
Okay.
He's been an elite
You've called him
quarterback.
elite. Today you called him great. Sorry.
So Russell Wilson, elite.
Yes, he's
All right,
elite.
thank you.
I never said he wasn't.
I know.
I just said he's not top 4.
I'm not saying he's top
That's
4.
what I said.
Did I say he was top 4?
Yes, you did.
Oh my.
You said he can't be
he
top
can
4.
be.
He can be top 4.
Said he can be. Is
You
that
said,
I-
well, you asked me he can't be top 4, and
he'll
I
be
said
in
no.
the he'll be in the MVP race.
Russell Wilson.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a possibility.
That's what,
Will
if
he
you're in the
win?
MVP
I don't know.
Oh, word. But that's what I'm saying.
Matt
Like, there's
Ryan's
a world.
won one. He got that.
He did.
He got that.
He has a Super Bowl?
Oh yeah, he got
He's
that.
got a Super Bowl?
Yeah, he got
He's
that.
got a Super Bowl?
Matt Ryan got
He's got a
that.
Super Bowl?
Yeah, Matt
Does he have a
Ryan
Super
got
Bowl?
that. Huh?
Does he have a Super Bowl?
Did he get carried by one of the best defenses in NFL
Go look
history?
at Russell's statistics in that Super Bowl, bro.
Yo, you do know that the Falcons had the 28th ranked defense the year they went to the Super Bowl with Matt Ryan, right?
Oh, just like they blew a 28-3 lead.
Their defense was garbage that year actually. And Matt
28-3.
Ryan still carried that team to the Super Bowl.
First Super Bowl
That's
loss in
how
NFL
good he
history.
is.
In 2 Super Bowls, Russell Wilson has a 117 passer rating, 453 yards, 4 touchdowns, 1 interception.
Sad what that interception is.
It's unfortunate. But
How
it's
many
it's
interceptions?
One.
1 and 1.
One
Four
in
touchdowns.
2 games. 4 touchdowns.
4 touchdowns, 1 interception. That's good. I mean,
It's
the first game was against the Broncos, right? Where you guys got
That's
embarrassed. You guys got mollywopped.
He's coming here to right his wrongs. I'm here to forgive him.
Right in his wrongs by beating you.
Correct. Correct. Ah, man, don't get me in my bag.
I don't talk about the coast, man. I'll flame your Jets, man.
Oh
my Jets.
This guy is shameless.
Shameless.
He is
There's
shameless.
fucking a Jets blanket
No, but I
over
will. I
there.
will.
Sauce
No,
Gardner
I will.
jersey
I
last
will. I
episode.
will give you 12 weeks to change your mind on Matt Ryan. And you know what? Progressively throughout this offseason, I'll send you some film. I'll send you
I
some
know.
tape.
Oh no,
I'll send you tape.
He started today. He sent me film from a Falcons game, and he screwed up because the last 2 seconds you see Devontae Freeman on the field.
No, I didn't screw up. I'm just watching a game. That's it. And Matt Ryan made a hell of a throw.
Devontae Freeman comes on the screen, he's like, oh shit, and he puts his phone down. I can't see that.
No, it was just going too long. You didn't think it was long? It was like 22 seconds.
It was a little
I just wanted to show you the play.
But once I saw Devontae Freeman, at first I was like, I know it's a couple years old. Then I saw Devontae Freeman on the Falcons. I was like, oh god.
Well, he made throws like that last year too, though.
I'm sure there's a lot of football. 17 games. You're gonna make a couple good throws.
No, he was top 10 in accuracy rating and like everything. Honestly, yeah.
I'm proud of him.
Yeah, you should be.
Yeah.
I'm gonna give you 12 weeks to change your mind on it.
12 weeks.
If you don't, yeah, because that's 12 weeks until football.
No, it's just like 8. It's 2 months away.
Now to week 1.
Maybe like it's not 12. It has to be like 8 or 9.
Harrison-
It's July 7th.
Shout out Harrison Remler. I think that's how you pronounce his last name.
But 12 weeks.
He
is 3
said 12
months.
weeks.
That's October.
Oh,
It's like 7, 8 weeks.
Joel Dehls.
it's early July, but maybe you're
July
right.
7th.
Yeah.
First week's probably first game's probably like July 10th or something. Because I think there's like a 9/11.
I know what you're saying.
Listen, part of my job as a friend of yours
Where's this
is
going?
to steer you in the right direction.
I do the same for
When
you.
I feel like you're not doing the best you can, I gotta give you little tidbits, to right your wrongs. And this is something that the Matt Ryan thing, I am going to do everything in my power to make you see the light, to convert you
It's a Matt Ryan truther.
to a Matt Ryan truther. But ultimately, you know what the old saying goes? The old saying is, you can't help somebody that doesn't want to be helped. So I'm gonna try to help you.
Like an addict.
I'm gonna try to help you as much as I can. But ultimately, it's
on me.
you who have to take the steps to getting better, to getting help, and seeing the light with Matt Ryan.
Maybe.
But I'll do the best I can.
Let's see.
But in a couple weeks, if I don't see progress, you're a lost cause, man.
All right, man. I'm
you're just
excited.
you're just a lost cause.
Oh man. I can't wait
Casual.
for the season.
Casual. My co-host being a casual.
That's crazy.
Oh my God. What
That's
a
crazy.
fucking shame. Have some goddamn shame. Would you rather Baker Mayfield edition, first name up, Daniel Jones?
Oh, I thought we were gonna go Matt Ryan off rip. Baker. There's no way this is a conversation, Drew. Daniel Jones? Come on, bro. Like,
When you're a Daniel Jones truther, I know there's
You should
maybe
be
four.
embarrassed.
There's 4 of us in existence. I believe in Daniel Jones. He's been put in terrible situation
I'm
after
the casual.
terrible situation.
I'm the casual.
See, the thing is, I don't want to do this.
No,
I don't.
please say Daniel. Please, come on. You believe it?
Baker Mayfield.
Jimmy Garoppolo.
I'd go Baker.
Is this? I know it's who would you rather. It's like on my team, I'd rather have Jimmy G. I think Baker's more talented.
Mm-hmm.
I would rather have Baker, though. You wouldn't rather have Baker?
Jimmy G's a better leader in the Super Bowl.
Jalen Hurts.
Jalen, clean.
Mac Jones.
Mac
Jones.
Tua Tagovailoa.
Tua, clearing. A thought
Tua.
process. Thank you.
Are
Thank
you
you.
serious?
who do you got,
I'm
Tua?
going Baker. I'm literally going.
I
I'm going
think
Baker
we're
over Daniel Jones, Jimmy G, Jalen Hurts, and Tua.
Jalen Hurts
Mac
is
Jones, I take over
crazy.
Baker though.
Jalen Hurts is nuts, but
Jared Goff,
Baker.
I would go Bake.
Matt Ryan.
Matt
Matty
Ryan.
Ice.
Yeah, easily. Carson Wentz,
Carson.
Ryan Tannehill.
Ryan Tannehill.
Tannehill. It's close though. It's close.
Yeah, for a lot of these, I'm taking Baker over Wentz. I'm taking him over Goff. The only ones I'm not taking Baker over are Mac Jones, Matt Ryan,
Rethink Jalen, please.
and Tannehill's a toss-up.
Rethink Jalen.
Jalen Hurts can have a better season for sure. He's in a great situation, but there's some limitations with Jalen Hurts that I still
He's
question.
progressively gotten better every year.
No, he's gotten better. Doesn't how much better is he going to get from here though? I don't know.
He just needs to get marginally better as a passer because he's a great rusher. He's a great leader.
Yeah, for sure. I like Jalen Hurts, but let's not act like Baker Mayfield's a scrub.
He's not.
He's not a scrub. And the Eagles last year faced their schedule. They did not face a great quarterback in their schedule.
They have a pretty light schedule.
They had one of the lightest schedules last year. Yeah,
This-
A
this
great
year-
corner.
This year,
Quarter.
quarterback.
quarterback.
I mean,
Come
they
on.
played Dallas twice, true?
Well, Dak Prescott, yeah, but like outside of that, really nobody. The
They
schedule
have,
was
they have a
light.
pretty light schedule this year too, I believe. 'Cause the NFC East, makes it
Yeah,
light.
I mean, we'll see. We saw how Jalen Hurts looked versus Tampa Bay when they limited his
Oh yeah,
his running.
He needs
Well, it's
to look
also
bad.
one of the best rush defenses in the league.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Baker scraped the Steelers though.
2 years ago?
That Steelers team was so ass.
He almost beat the Chiefs too.
with fucking
Listen,
Chad
this
Henne.
this all world, Matt Ryan, Jalen Hurts, week 1, 32-6.
Smoked him. Oh
What are you
yeah.
talking about 32-6?
Devontae Freeman's first touchdown.
Eagles playing against Atlanta, week 1, 32-6. Jalen
Matt
Hurts.
Ryan plays defense?
Jalen. Well, you asked me. You're the one that said he didn't play a good quarterback. Did you not?
Oh, my bad. So
That's
Matt
what I'm
Ryan,
saying.
you're going through the schedule right now.
Yeah.
That's what you're saying. Okay.
Yeah. They lost to Kansas City 42-30.
Well, mostly
but
what I'm
Hurts had
saying is that they had a
387.
cakewalk schedule. That's what I'm mostly saying, though.
Atlanta, San Fran, Dallas, KC, Tampa Bay, LV, Chargers,
This does not sound like Cape Cod to me.
New Orleans.
Okay.
They lost to San Fran. They lost to KC. They lost to Dallas. They lost to Tampa Bay.
There's some
They
tough-
lost to the Raiders. They lost to the Chargers.
I wouldn't say it's cupcake schedule though.
They beat the team. These are the teams they beat: Washington, the Giants, the Saints, the Broncos, the Lions, the Panthers, the Falcons.
New Orleans.
That's what I said. I said the Saints.
I apologize.
They
And
beat who
Saints
they
were
were
a good
supposed to.
team.
Yeah, and they lost to everybody that they were supposed to, I guess. But literally, like, they didn't. All the teams they beat, they did not do anything. Like those aren't great teams.
Listen, man. Sometimes
Those
you
aren't
gotta do
even
your
good
job.
teams.
You do your
That's
job.
it.
They made the
Facts.
playoffs. Got smoked, but made the playoffs.
Yeah, but I mean,
Listen, I'm not totally disagreeing. Jalen Hurts needs to progress as a passer.
He does,
No doubt
for
about
sure.
it. But
I think he will.
I believe in that.
16 touchdowns, 9 picks. That's better than Baker
Look at
Mayfield.
his 10 rushing.
So 26 touchdowns. That's what Baker had the same amount of passing touchdowns as Jalen Hurts in 2020.
What?
Baker Mayfield
passing touchdown.
had the same amount of passing touchdowns as Jalen Hurts had total touchdowns.
Well, Jalen Hurts
in 2020.
So a big part of his game is rushing. So you just like
No, I know, but I'm just
26
saying Baker Mayfield 2020, 26 touchdowns, 8 picks.
How many rushing?
Let's actually check. You can check
1 or
that.
2.
I'm actually on it right now.
If he had 0, then
He had 1.
Bastard.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, Baker Mayfield was a top 10 quarterback, so
he
borderline
was, right?
That's what they said. I
Would
mean,
Jalen
according
Hurts
to
have
the
been a top
list,
10 quarterback?
should be top 10
2020?
going into this year.
there is no metric that you can use to support Jalen Hurts being a better quarterback versus Baker healthy. Like, there's not.
I think the only thing he's
It's
probably
just the
lacking
running
is
ability.
completion percentage.
Not even that far off. It's really just touchdowns, interceptions. Baker takes care of the ball better. Passer rating, Baker's better. It's just rushing. That's the only thing.
Jalen had 8 interceptions?
He had 9.
9, and he only had like 2 or 3 before his fumbles lost.
Yeah.
For a rushing quarterback, he takes care of the ball very well, I would say.
Well, he's a rushing quarterback. Yeah.
That's what I said. Right now, he is a rush first quarterback.
He's not a quarterback like Baker. Baker's a better quarterback.
Who has better numbers this year?
That's tough because
Jalen.
the Eagles have A.J. Brown and stuff, but
It's always an excuse with
A.J.
you,
Brown,
man.
Devontae
It's always an
Smith.
excuse with you.
They got DJ Moore, CMC.
I'll go with Baker.
I'll go with Jalen.
We
I
throwing
go
money
Baker.
on this?
So
gotta
you
get
think
scared.
Jalen Hurts has better numbers than Baker this year with Carolina?
Yeah, well, are we saying? I'm saying total yards, total touchdowns. Give me Jalen Hurts.
Total yards, total touchdowns, I'll give you Jalen Hurts because of the rushing. But if we're just talking about passing yards, Baker. Passing touchdowns, Baker.
Lame.
Completion percentage, Baker. All the quarterback stats, give me Baker.
That's not saying much.
That's so
Like
whack,
Carson
though.
Wentz could have more passing yards than Lamar, but nobody gives a damn.
He didn't, though.
I'm saying he could.
But he probably isn't.
He could easily have like 3,800 passing yards.
Carson Wentz is mid, bro.
Carson
I
Wentz just
agree.
went 27-7 though,
I
Yeah,
agree.
that's a lot. He got a lot of dropped interceptions.
and he also had no wide receiver too.
Like Matt Ryan's probably gonna have more passing yards than Lamar. He's not better than Lamar.
Carson Wentz hasn't thrown for over 3,400, 3,600 since 2019.
2019 when he was MVP and he missed the last 2 games, right?
2019 was not MVP. That was 2017.
I apologize. Thank you.
But just because you have more passing yards doesn't mean you're a
2017,
better
you
quarterback.
sure? 2019, the year that he took one of the worst teams to the playoffs when he went 8-8, he won the division 9-8, 9-7, excuse me. No, I apologize.
It was 7-9.
No, they didn't win the division 7-9.
The division was garbage, bro.
But they
I
didn't
don't
win
think they were
7. Trust.
7-9.
I think they
Because I think it
were
was
one
only
game
Seattle
over.
who did that.
I think 9-7 is correct.
9-7.
Yeah.
So Joe, what do you mean? I mean, Lamar though clears all those quarterbacks you're talking about though.
I know, but you said that you'll take Baker Mayfield having more passing yards than Jalen Hurts. I don't disagree. But I think Jalen, you're taking away probably 800 to 1,000 yards because of his rushing ability.
Yeah, but Jalen Hurts is not the level of quarterback Lamar is though.
He's not. But we're talking about Baker and Hurts.
Baker, he's not the level of quarterback Baker is either.
But he's one offseason away from being it.
Depends on what you think he's going to be.
You know how I feel about Jalen Hurts.
I mean, I know you like Jalen Hurts.
Yeah.
I mean, River has stated before, we know the type of quarterbacks you like.
I have a type. Lamar, Jalen Hurts. I got a type.
Justin Fields, don't forget.
Johnny Manziel.
Johnny, miss me. That's your type of guy.
Now, that's your type of guy.
That is his type of guy.
Johnny Manziel is
If
not
you're
my
a
type
Baker
of
guy, you're a Johnny guy.
I did not like Johnny Manziel coming out of college. Roll back the
After
tape.
Drake dropped draft day, it was hard not to like Johnny Manziel.
On to the NFC South.
Felt like we never get here.
Predicting this division. The Buccaneers up first. They went 13-4 last season. They lost in the divisional round against the Rams. They had the second-ranked offense, fifth-ranked defense. Now, what do you see for the Bucs this year? Will Tom Brady regress like people say he might do every year? Is he going to be the same type of quarterback, top 3 quarterback in the NFL, the GOAT? What's going to happen with the Bucs this year?
Tom Brady, at the age of 43, turned 44.
He's 44.
44. Thank you. No, he right now. Yes. So this past season, 43, turning 44, he led the league in passing yards, led the league in passing touchdowns. Tom Brady is never going to fall off so long as he is suiting up on Sundays, Thursdays, and Mondays. I have no worries with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. My one worry, come playoff time, is their secondary. And I say this given the fact that I understand that PFF has Tampa Bay ranked as the number 1 secondary, number two ranked secondary.
Yeah, it was top 3. It was crazy.
Which is insane to me because I saw last season their secondary get absolutely torched by LA in the playoffs. Now, I understand now they're coming in a little bit healthier. You get Dean back. You get Carlton Davis. These guys are healthy. But you lose Whitehead, who's very integral, especially in the run game for them. But offensively, I think that they will be fine so long as Tom Brady's at the helm. Russell Gage is a underrated addition for them, especially while Chris Godwin is down with the torn ACL. I'm projecting Chris Godwin to be back around week 4, week 5. Torn ACLs, they're definitely unique to each individual. But it seems as if he's already progressing in the right direction.
You're going to be cautious with him. They just gave him a $60 million contract.
And without a doubt they should. And they have a solid number 2 option to put in his place to do so. And Russell Gage is not a bad option. We saw him have success with Matt Ryan last season. And Russell Gage just put up his best statistical season. Now you're getting an upgrade. You're getting the greatest of all time at the quarterback position. I think that we're going to see Tampa Bay win this division for sure. There's a strong chance that Tampa Bay also is the top seed in the NFC. Just to go through their schedule really quick, I don't have them with many losses. Week 1 at Dallas, I do have them losing. Ironically, 2 of their losses come week 1 and week 2. At New Orleans is always a tough matchup for them. It wouldn't be surprising to me if they lost the first 2 games and people are overreacting to Tampa Bay. Then they go on some win streaks. Versus Green Bay, I have a W. Versus KC, I have a W. Versus Atlanta, I have a W. At Pittsburgh, W. At Carolina with Baker Mayfield, I decided to give them a win, but that easily could be a W. Versus Baltimore, W. Versus the Rams, I do have them winning. If this was at Los Angeles, maybe we have a different conversation. Versus Seattle, without a doubt, a W. Then they hit their bye week. At Cleveland, W. Versus New Orleans, W. Different story this time around. At San Fran, decided to give San Fran the W here. Versus Cincinnati, W. At Arizona, that's an L. I like Arizona this season, especially going into Arizona. I like Arizona in that situation. Versus Carolina, I have them winning. And lastly, week 18 at Atlanta, I do have them winning. With the 12-5 record, easily could be 13-4. They could beat Carolina both times for sure. But I do have them finishing at the top of the division.
For Tom Brady, I think statistically he'll probably regress a little bit just because he had how many 719 passing attempts last season.
Yeah, that's insane.
The year before he had 610. 5,300 yards, 43 touchdowns. I think like those numbers can be very hard to replicate. So statistically, I think his numbers will come down. But at the end of the day, Tom Brady's still going to be looked at as a top 5 quarterback in the league. So I have no real worries about the Buccaneers, especially being in division. We'll get to the rest of these teams later. I think they're really, even though I liked Carolina's move, picking up Baker, you're giving me that look like that guy tweeted, which I don't like. Baker Mayfield, I like the move. It doesn't move me a ton. They went from, I'll spoil it, from 5 wins to 7 wins, I believe. So it moves me a bit, but not enough to compete for the division. And then you have the Saints there, who we'll talk about in a little bit. I think the Bucs won't have an issue at all winning this division. I have them going 12-5. A couple of losses at New Orleans week 2. I think they'll split with them. At San Fran week 14, that's going to be a tough game. Then you have some games against Baltimore, the Rams, at Pittsburgh, at Cleveland. So I think they have a few other losses in there as well. But the roster is going to be great. I do worry a bit about their secondary. I don't know how PFF has them as
insane.
Great as one of the best secondaries in the league.
It had to be because they were injured and they were using that as an anomaly.
Yeah. Whitehead plays more in the box as a run support guy, so maybe they're not looking at that as a bigger loss than maybe we are. But their front seven should be strong again. Obviously, brought in Akeem Hicks just a few weeks ago, so their rush defense should be great. Linebackers are solid. We know how great the offense is going to be. Even without Chris Godwin, Tom Brady's just going to make it work. Even without Gronk, I have no worries about that. So
Cameron Brate, sneaky tight end pickup this year in fantasy. What do you think?
no, we've seen Cameron Brate without Gronk. He's done nothing.
Oh, he still gets fair.
It's a small sample size.
He's
it's
a
5
touch.
games.
He's a red zone guy.
It's 5 games, but in those 5 games, he's really done nothing. So I'm not that.
And
they
Godwin
drafted,
out. Who knows?
They drafted a rookie tight end too. Who there was a report saying that he might
Cade
be
Otton.
Cade Otton?
Yeah, he might be the beneficiary over Cameron Brate,
Interesting.
even
Okay.
though rookie tight ends usually don't do much.
Cade has an injury tag right now, so that's not beneficial.
No, but they should have no issue winning this division. I'm going 12-5.
I like that you say that because you're right. There's no way they lose this division. They should win this division pretty easily, in my opinion. I have them going 14-3, and I think all year long, I kind of knew they weren't going to repeat. I picked them back in 2020 to win.
You picked him in 2021 as well.
No, I didn't.
You
Yes,
did.
you did.
You picked him to beat the Rams.
I was hesitant on it.
But
I literally
no,
said it on the show.
You made a
Do
pick.
you ever go with
pick
what
a
you
damn
have?
side,
Yo,
bro.
I
the
literally said
the creator of
I literally
Pick a Side
said-
refuses.
I literally
to do
said
so.
that last year I didn't know who I wanted to pick. I was really torn. 2020
You were like a damn seesaw.
2020 it was easy for me to say the Bucks. I'm riding all the way. Last year I couldn't. All the injuries that happened to
Should've
them.
just listen to me.
The Antonio Brown debacle that happened. Just him storming off the field, the chemistry issues. I thought last year wasn't their year, and I do feel now after further evaluating the situation, there was something there with Tom Brady and Bruce Arians. Those pass attempts are that high because Bruce Arians, that's the offense that he runs.
Sure.
Now
He
that
had 100 more attempts in the previous year still.
yeah,
he was
now
He
incredible
learned the
guy.
offense fully though, so I'm not surprised.
now that Tom Brady has the offense to himself, yes, he reports to Byron Leftwich, but let's be honest, this is Brady's offense. I think it's going to be more balanced, and when the offense has been more balanced, the Buccaneers have been better. When they've given Leonard Fournette more of a load offensively. And now I love the Rashad White draft pick.
Absolutely.
There were some reports Lenny was overweight coming into camp.
and
Yeah.
he looked it.
He
but
looked
I
big.
see him hitting the treadmill with the boys.
He's a vet.
So
forget, was
the
it
pass
Jamar-
catching,
Jamar Swift.
yes,
and,
I'm blanking on the third
It was
guy.
the Eagles DB. Was it?
Couldn't tell you.
Remember?
Regardless, that was a cool vid.
so Rashad White could be the beneficiary in the backfield, catching passes from Brady. I think that's a possibility. But like you mentioned, getting Russell Gage was huge, although last year he had great quarterback play, but now he's going from great to elite, from Matt Ryan to Tom Brady. Shaq Mason, good addition, although they did lose Ali Marpet, which is a huge loss.
That's tough.
Akeem Hicks now makes their defensive line better. I think he's better than Dominic Sue right now. They also signed Logan Ryan, Keanu Neal.
Jalen
I
Mills.
think those are all some really good signings. But they lost 2 key guys, Ali Marpet and Rob Gronkowski. That's huge. Cameron Brate is a below-average tight end.
Agreed.
Rob Gronkowski, like going from having a guy that's a top 5 tight end to now having somebody who's not a top 32 tight end definitely hurts a lot.
That's rude. But I
Cameron Brate's good, but I mean, come on.
Top
20,
Are we really
20
gonna-
to 40.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm really going to argue that. No,
No,
we're not
no,
gonna
I'm
argue
not.
that.
I'm not.
But as long as Tom Brady is Tom Brady, which there's no reason why you should believe he's not going to be, the Bucs will be fine. They'll be one of the best teams in the NFC. He led the NFL in passing yards and touchdowns last year. And like I mentioned earlier, this is now officially Tom Brady's offense. I only see them losing 3 games, and that's possibly against Kansas City, but they can beat Kansas City. I think the Rams are probably a loss. Cincinnati, I have them losing too. So the 3 losses I actually have them losing. I have them losing against
That
KC,
sounds agenda based.
Rams, and Cincinnati. Those are the 3 losses.
That sounds agenda based.
Because I think Joe Burrow versus Brady, Joe Burrow's going to win that game.
Next time Brady, right?
He can be. He's that good.
Irresponsible. But I don't mind it. I don't mind it at all. The Buccaneers clearly are a dominant team on all aspects of the football team.
What was your record for them?
I have them 12-5, 13-4 because they definitely can beat the Panthers both times. But listen, there's nothing to overly criticize. Offensive line still really solid. Defensively, top to bottom, it's strong. The secondary can be really good so long as they stay healthy, but we saw it get cooked last season. They
were injured.
Exactly. We
They played Matt Stafford.
can chalk it, no doubt. Huh? But you can chalk it up to injuries. And Dean has been solid. Carlton Davis has been solid. Logan Ryan's a fine addition as well to play safety for them. But offensively, that's ultimately what it's going to come down to, and I think Tom Brady's going to be more than fine.
What was your record?
12-5.
But you said Brady's washed. What? No, I'm playing.
Well, what did I tell you about doing that, bro?
What?
People care about what you say, man.
You think so?
You lie on our names.
You think so?
They'll believe
he
you.
says I put things in his mouth. He puts things in my mouth.
Oh, my God. You
think
guys
I
just
put
go
bigger
back
thing
and
in your
forth.
mouth?
Oh, my God. Can we take a break?
What?
Can we take a break, please? What's wrong with y'all?
What are you talking about, bro?
All right, fine. I'm just going to let this slide. River wouldn't have none of this.
Okay.
You don't know what you're talking about.
All right, let's move on then.
No, but in all seriousness, you guys lie on me more than I lie on you.
It's not true.
Because I don't even lie on you.
You just said
I
said
joke
Brady
on.
was
I
washed.
joke on you. That's a joke.
I joke on you too.
You guys lie on me.
I've never lied on you.
You lie on me.
I've never lied on you.
Come on this show, look at the camera, and you lie on me.
That's what you're doing to save your image, King.
Save my image.
You're handsome. You don't need to save anything.
My image
bro.
is. I have to read more. I have to expand my vocabulary.
It's enshrined forever.
My image is. I'm looking for a word that starts with N. It's probably not going to make sense.
And
This
doctor?
guy, I don't know. Enshrined was fine.
Enshrined. I guess that's a good one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's vocabulary of mine. Extensive.
Saints prediction for this upcoming season. They were 9-8 last season. They missed the playoffs. 4th ranked defense, 7th in yards, 14th against the pass, 4th against the run. But 5-2 with Jameis last year. Things were going well. He got hurt. Then his backup, Taysom Hill, comes in, goes 4-1. We're looking at this team like, wow, they have a legit shot to maybe make the playoffs. But 0-4 with Trevor Siemian, 0-1 with Ian Book. Ultimately, they didn't make the playoffs because they had no quarterback. But Jameis Winston is back. 14 touchdowns, 3 picks this past season, 102 passer rating. We talked about their receiving corps and how it's not good. But now they have Michael Thomas hopefully coming back from injury. Jarvis Landry.
One can hope.
Chris Olave, first-round pick speedster out of Ohio State.
He's been looking good.
Are the
That
Saints
one route that went
What do you
around
mean,
on
bro?
Twitter?
Only
Olave?
one route? There's only one route? that's been
No,
released?
there's one route that I feel like got
Oh, really?
thrown around more than
Yeah.
others.
Fair
Are
enough.
the Saints making the playoffs?
You want me to go?
Go ahead.
All right, listen, they're not making the playoffs. They're not making the playoffs. But I'll say this. They have a good roster. I am just hesitant given the fact that their schedule is kind of tough. I had to adjust it a few times to get them to a win percentage that I thought was respectable and fair. Defensively, of course, they're going to be solid. You bring in Dennis Allen to take over at the helm. He has been a mastermind for them on the defensive side of the ball for a couple of years now. He takes over now, and it should be seamless. You add Honey Badger to this mix. Marcus May, if he can stay healthy, that's huge for them. Their cornerback situation's solid. Paulson Adebo and obviously Marshawn Lattimore, who's one of the best cornerbacks in the league. Their front seven solid. Demario Davis, P. Warner, Marcus Davenport, Cameron Jordan, of course. These guys are all, most of them elite, really great players. But the offensive side of the ball is where I have my concerns. Alvin Kamara is most likely going to be suspended 6 games. That's reports. He could be suspended 6 games. He's most likely looking at a suspension nevertheless. And Mark Ingram, where, yes, he is a serviceable RB2, at the same time, you're losing out on the production of your best offensive
Is he a
player.
cerebral number 2?
I mean, he's not bad. He played well last season for them in his minor role. But I get it. He's older now. You don't love Mark Ingram being your running back 1. That being said, it's only for a certain amount of games, but it's definitely going to hurt them, no doubt. I do believe that Jameis Winston is significantly better at the quarterback position than obviously Trevor Siemian and Ian Book. Shout out Trevor Siemian for what he did for us in 2017 and 5-0, but it happens. That being said, if Michael Thomas is back, this is intriguing to me. But how can I bank on Michael Thomas when even right now there's reports that he's not ready to go and he's not even participating in walkthroughs, might not be ready for training camp? This is overly concerning to me given the fact that he's been out for over 18 months. Jarvis Landry is intriguing, though, because they've been raving about Jarvis Landry, that he's been dominating camp, but it's camp.
We know what Jarvis Landry is.
But do we?
Yeah.
Do we? Baker Mayfield, who knows if he didn't benefit Jarvis Landry? You get Jameis Winston, who's been known to
Would you rather have Jarvis or Darnell
to make
Mooney?
wide Jarvis or Darnell? Darnell.
Okay. So he's like barely a top 24 receiver.
Okay, fine. But Jarvis Landry was throwing to Marquez Callaway last season. Jarvis Landry and him are going to be fine. That's what I say?
Said Jarvis. Go. Yeah, no.
Jameis was throwing to Marquez Callaway. You bring in Jarvis Landry, Chris Olave. These two should be more than fine. Jameis Winston just needed any type of weapons. I think the offense is going to be really good, but I just don't think this team is good enough to be a playoff team. Now, to go through their record, what?
No, go ahead.
Now I'm mentioning that that's going to make Alvin Kamara better.
I don't disagree.
Alvin
but
Kamara's yards per carry last year was horrible.
But when he comes back, it's 6 games. That's obviously he's going to come back and he's going to be ready to go immediately.
We don't
of course,
know
reported. You know, we assume we get murdered in the comment section. But this is what I'm seeing. He's going to be suspended regardless. I think once Alvin comes back, he's going to be fantastic. He's Alvin Kamara. He's still one of the best running backs in the NFL. But I still do have my concerns. Now, going through their record, I have them going 2-0 to start the season. At Carolina, I'm giving them 1 win, giving Carolina a win. Versus Minnesota, I have them losing. Versus Seattle, I have them winning. Versus Cincinnati, that's an L. At Arizona, that's an L. Las Vegas, that's an L. Versus Baltimore, that's an L. At Pittsburgh, I have them winning. Versus the Rams, that's an L. At San Fran, that's an L. At Tampa Bay, that's an L. Bye week. Versus Atlanta, I gave them the benefit of the doubt. They're beating Atlanta twice. At Cleveland, they're winning. At Philadelphia, I like Philadelphia this season. And if Jalen progresses, Jalen Hurts has a strong chance to win this game and put his team in a position to be successful come playoffs, to lead his team to the playoffs. Versus Carolina, that's a W, especially at home. One of the best home environments to play in if you're a New Orleans Saint. I have them going with a record of 7-10.
I think Saints fans are going to kill you.
Listen, I really tried my hardest and I went through the schedule multiple times. You find me a game here that you do believe that the one that I look at is really Philadelphia. That's it.
Do you have them splitting with Tampa Bay?
I do.
Okay.
I gave them that win.
Now listen, I'm a Jameis Winston guy. I'm a Jameis Winston believer. But like you said, their schedule is tough. And because they finished second in division last year, it kind of messed them up for this upcoming year.
Don't disagree.
You look at the schedule, I think they split with Tampa Bay. They could sweep Atlanta.
Yep.
Carolina now with Baker, I think they can split.
I agree.
I have them losing against Minnesota.
For sure.
Cincinnati, Las Vegas, Baltimore.
I have them beating Arizona.
The Rams, Philadelphia. You know, for me, there's a possibility that the Saints go 9-8, 10-7. There's definitely that possibility. But it just depends on what type of Jameis Winston you're going to get.
Fair enough.
Because throughout his career, he's been erratic. And although he was more efficient this year, is that going to translate?
Unsustainably efficient.
Now that he has more
14-3.
Now that he has more weapons, around him that can maybe make him a little bit more trigger happy, because last year he had to be super conservative.
I agree.
There is a chance that he now goes back to what he was efficiency wise. And you mentioned it before. Week 1, he had 5 touchdowns. You take that
15 pass attempts.
You take that away,
20.
it's 9 touchdowns and 3 picks on the year.
Still great.
That's good. That's great. But is that like 14 touchdowns, 3 picks great? It's not. The biggest issue with them last season was their offense, their weapons. But now they went through a complete makeover, which now and now their offense is good. But is Michael Thomas going to stay healthy? Because that's the big question mark. And is he even going to play? Because we haven't seen him in like 3 years. Last year we thought that was a year he was going to play. He didn't play. But Chris Olave can take the top off the defense. Jarvis Landry is a good route runner and possession receiver. I wouldn't rule it out. Like Jameis winning comeback player of the year, having 25-plus touchdowns, leading the Saints to the playoffs. This is the same offensive system, same staff.
Minus Sean Payton.
That offensive play call is going to take a hit.
And just to show you guys how sporadic the Saints for me are this year, when originally going through the schedule, I had them going 11-6. That's how good I think the Saints can be. The Saints can be really, really good. But after the Baker Mayfield acquisition, I have them at 8-9 wins. Like 8-9 wins.
Wait, what?
I think that it's a possibility. Going through the schedule at Atlanta.
Baker, the Panthers got Baker, and the Saints get 3 less wins.
At Atlanta, just hear me out. At Atlanta, win. Just count my wins for me.
Just go through. I got you.
Atlanta win versus Tampa Bay. I think that's a loss. At Carolina, loss. Versus Minnesota.
I'm confused. No, it's versus Tampa Bay week 2.
That's what I said.
So you have them losing?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, Tom Brady needs to get off to a good start. Even though it is at home, I think.
Listen, I have them going 0-2.
Okay.
Tampa
yeah.
Bay. Go ahead.
So I have them beating Atlanta.
Okay.
Losing to Tampa Bay, so they're 1-1.
Mm-hmm. I got you.
Losing to Carolina.
Mm-hmm.
Losing to Minnesota.
Yep.
Winning against Seattle, so that's 2
I got
wins.
you. Keep going. Just keep
losing
going.
against Cincinnati.
Mm-hmm.
Losing against Arizona, because that's around the time Hopkins is coming back. Losing against the Raiders. Losing against Baltimore. Beating Pittsburgh. Losing against the Rams. Beating San Fran. I can see that happening.
At San Fran.
Yeah, I can see that happening. Trey Lance, you don't know.
Okay.
That's what.
I know that's rude, but God.
Versus Atlanta, win.
At TB.
Skip that one.
Oh, at TB. Oh, I have them beating them because I have them splitting. So that's 5 wins.
Okay.
At Atlanta, win. At Cleveland, win. Philadelphia is the one that they could lose, or they can win. And then Carolina, I think they win the last week. So 9-8 wins. I have them around.
Okay,
there.
so our only difference is San Fran. I'm fine with it.
It's just before because there's a lot of games that can split.
What did Baker do?
Yeah, I'm
that
still confused.
That gave you 3 wins.
It's not just Baker. It's also just going through the schedule again.
Okay.
But also, it's like they can beat Vegas. They can beat Minnesota.
Yep.
They can beat Baltimore too. Like I don't think those are just washes, and they can also beat Arizona. Arizona's defense is not going to be good.
Listen, the Saints have a motivating factor to be good this year. They don't have their first round pick this year.
When I initially made my picks, I had them beating Arizona because I'm just not high on Arizona this year. And like I said, like Las Vegas and Baltimore can also be a toss-up. Those can be toss-ups.
I like LV this year. And listen, I'm saying as someone as a Broncos fan. They got a roster that you got to be scared of.
What's your record for the Saints?
I also have them at 8-9. Similar to you, when I first went through, I think I had them at 10-7. I think
so
they're
what
going
are
to
Saints
be.
fans killing me for?
Huh?
What are Saints fans killing me for exactly?
What'd you have them at?
7-10.
Yeah. I don't know. You said it first. That's why.
I don't know. I think that's I do think that's a bit too low.
I mean,
them. We went through it. We agree mostly.
I'm going to change it. I have them going 9-8.
Okay,
that's fine. I have them going 8-9. At first run through it, like I said, 10-7.
Who do you have them beating now?
Arizona.
That's fair. I'm not high in Arizona.
This guy's so agenda-based, it really makes me sick.
But then I'm thinking about this offseason they just had. They lost Tyron Armstead, Marcus Williams. Kamara's probably going to get suspended. Jameis coming off a torn ACL. We don't know what's happening with Michael Thomas. Olave was my least favorite receiver out of the first-round guys.
Casual.
Sean Payton's gone. They have a ton of question marks.
I agree with that.
Whether it's departures, suspensions, draft picks. Trevor Penning was another guy that wasn't incredibly high on. But their defense is still elite. You mentioned all the guys they have. So they're going to be in games without a doubt. I think they'll be a borderline playoff team because in the NFC East, I think you got 2 teams. You have Dallas and Philly. The NFC North, you have Minnesota and Green Bay. The West, you have San Francisco and the Rams. So then it's really just those last 2 teams. I don't think so, truthfully. So the South, you just have the Saints and the Bucks. That's 8 teams, 7 playoff spots. So I think they'll be right in competition for that last playoff spot. I have them winning 8 games, but yeah, they could easily go 9-8, maybe sneak in 10-7. They'll be in the conversation for sure. I just think there's too many question marks going into the season for me to be confident going into the season that they're going to be a playoff team. But they'll be in the hunt.
It's also, I think, a lot of people are minimizing Sean Payne not being there. Like Sean Payne, even though it is the same staff, and I've said it is the same staff, Sean Payne, game management, seeing what's going on in the field and now adjusting and calling plays like that. So that's going to be a huge loss. And who knows how James is going to be if Sean Payne is not in his ear. That's going to be a definitely an adjustment period for them. Next team, the Atlanta Falcons. Now I'll go first on this team. I'll actually go first on the next 2 teams because I'm passionate about these, 7-10 last season, mostly due to Matt Ryan's great quarterback play.
And Arthur Smith.
26th ranked offense, 29th ranked defense last year. Offensively, 16th in passing yards. Matt Ryan, that's what he does for you.
Average.
With no weapons.
16th.
With no weapons, he gets you at least an average.
Kyle Pitts is generational.
31st in terms of rushing yards. No run game to speak of.
Cordero Patterson? Come on.
No run game to speak of.
Mike Davis?
Defensively, 18th against the pass and 27th against the run.
AJ Terrell, baby.
Sounds like Matt Ryan's numbers.
Now, for me, like last year, 7 wins for them. They overachieved. They're not that team. They beat the Giants, Jets, Dolphins, Saints, Jaguars, Panthers, Lions. A lot of teams that aren't very good, and their additions, Marcus Mariota, Drake London, Rashaan Evans, Lorenzo Carter, Casey Hayward. But ultimately, their biggest loss is Matt Ryan. Like, Matt Ryan is such a great quarterback, and Atlanta Falcons fans, I know, appreciate Matt Ryan, which they should. I think every smart football fan should appreciate Matt Ryan.
Why'd you look at me like that?
Matt Ryan last year, 5th in accuracy from a clean pocket, although he never really had it. Last season, Matt Ryan had the 32nd lowest protection rate. He was 11th or better in accuracy rating, true completion percentage, deep ball percentage, pressure completion percentage, and play action percentage. He had the 15th best passer rating, true passer rating in the league, while having the 7th most drops in football. Top 10 in nearly every accuracy rating. Matt Ryan, Matty Ice. Now he's going to go to Indianapolis and be great. But for Atlanta, this is bad news because they thought they were going to get Deshaun Watson. They didn't end up getting him. And I see them going 3-14 this upcoming season. The only 3 wins are against Seattle, Carolina, and Chicago. And I had Carolina as a win just to be generous with the split, but really their schedule is gruesome. You face the Rams, Tampa Bay twice, Cincinnati, the Chargers. Washington is not going to be a pushover. Pittsburgh, Baltimore, Arizona. The Falcons are one of the worst teams in the NFL. And I don't feel like Falcons fans should want to be good because if you are bad enough, you can draft Bryce Young, who, with a young core of Drake London, Kyle Pitts, Bryce Young, improving the offensive line.
That's fun.
That's a really fun, exciting team to watch for the future. I don't think Mariota's the answer. I don't think Desmond Ridder is good enough to be a franchise quarterback. This, to me, is a tanking season to get a franchise quarterback in a draft, that be it Bryce Young.
I just looked up synonyms of great. Elite's one of them. Moving on.
Because you're the king of semantics. Super ironic that you say such a thing.
Just Google,
You,
bro.
am I wrong?
Just Google.
Am I wrong?
I'm just saying what Google's
All
telling
right, so
me.
next time I call someone elite and you tell me they're good.
Well,
they're
that's
great.
different. Good is different than elite.
All right, is good a synonym of great?
Yeah, but now you're going ABC.
But that's what I'm asking. So good's a synonym of great. So if I call someone great and you tell me
Is
they're
it?
good, that's what I'm wondering.
Damn, he
Very,
got your
very
ass.
good. Very good is a synonym of great.
He got your ass.
I don't know. Like
He got my ass or I got his?
No, you got his ass.
Very good is a synonym.
Can you stop?
It's literally says. Very
All right,
good.
go ahead. Give your Falcons take.
My Falcons.
Those are 2 words though.
You know what? No, forget you. I'm actually going to give my
Be my
Falcons
guest,
take.
bro.
I actually almost gave them 0 wins.
That would be insane.
I really almost did. This roster is shockingly bad. Reason why I decided to give them a couple wins is because you know what? In a division, you're bound to get one. Not many teams go defeated. And I don't think the Falcons are going to be one of those. I think that you can pick up a W against Carolina. You can pick up a W against, Chicago. But just looking at this team on the offensive side of the ball, a lot of faith's getting put into Marcus Mariota. And Marcus Mariota has to get back to his Tennessee days, the 1 to 2 seasons where people were high on Marcus Mariota. That's what he has to deliver to the Falcons.
Walker was elite. All I'm saying.
He was mad good. But that's what Marcus Mariota has to deliver to the Falcons for them to be that 7-10 team that they were last season. And that's by the grace of God, truthfully. Drake London is going to be fantastic, very exciting. You mentioned it. You are bad this season if you're the Atlanta Falcons. Don't bash me. If you're bad, the Atlanta Falcons, you get Bryce Young. I'm having a whole different conversation on the Atlanta Falcons come next season because Bryce Young is an exciting prospect. To pair that with Drake London and Kyle Pitts, who you mentioned is generational.
And maybe you could get Bijan on top of the second next year. Now you have a really fun offense.
Bijan makes this intriguing. The offensive line needs to get a whole lot better before we start getting going on that talk.
Yeah.
But,
he'll be great.
but
with
Bryce
that
Young is a great start to that to this mess right now that they have. But right now, it's a good mess where you're a quarterback away from having your offense be somewhat relevant. You have the weapons, Drake London and Kyle Pitts. But overall, this team is just not that great at all. But I do ultimately have them going 2-15.
Yeah, I have them going 3-14. You have to be excited for a few pieces. AJ Terrell was one of the best corners in the league last year, and Casey Hayward, although he's older and he's not a franchise piece, he was one of the best corners as well last season. So, in terms of cornerback duos, if that gets you happy, I think you have one of the best cornerback duos in the league. Unfortunately, the rest of the team isn't that great. I think we're all excited about Drake London and Kyle Pitts. Those are two big body receivers that Mariota's not the most accurate. He's not the best quarterback, but if you put it in the general vicinity of both of these guys, Drake London at 6'4", Kyle Pitts at 6'6", they're going to be able to make things happen. But outside of that, it's a pretty bad roster. You mentioned how terrible the offensive line was. They have no real rushing attack. If Cordero Patterson is your lead back, lost Russell Gage as well. And defensively, they're not good too. So I think overall, it's gonna be a wash year for the Falcons, 3-14. But you'll be in that conversation for a top 3 draft pick. You get a Bryce Young or Stroud or Will Levis, whatever it is. So Levi's, yeah. So you'll be in the conversation for one of those top quarterbacks next year. And then, if you do get a Bijan, which is kind of what the Jets did just a year later, got their running backs, what the Jaguars did, got Trevor Lawrence and Travis Etienne in one season to really try to, rejuvenate that offense. Who knows what it looked like if Etienne was there last season. But unfortunately for Falcons fans, they overachieved last year, significantly downgrading that quarterback this year. So you're going from 7 wins to now 3-14 is my...
You're being nice.
Yeah.
You're being nice.
Yeah, originally, I went through it, I was like, this is bad.
This schedule is...
And they didn't. No, the NFL didn't do them right with the schedule.
No.
The NFL didn't do them right.
AJ Terrell, Deion Jones, Grady Jarrett. That's it.
Casey Hayward.
Throw some respect on his name for sure. That's
Casey
it.
was solid.
That's it.
Lorenzo Carter.
I guess.
At that point, it's like a...
Michael Walker, bro.
Rashawn Evans, right? This team's mid. It's
not
bad.
Oh yeah, it's
Listen,
not gonna be good.
prayers for Falcons fans. Come back next season. Pray on Bryce Young. We can
At
really
least y'all got
pick a
DeJounte.
side. We'll be fans. Promise you. Pick a side. We'll be fans.
I got DeJounte.
DeJounte.
Murray.
Facts. Oh, no
You
doubt.
can't have everything.
No,
Come
you
on.
can't. You can't. And the
Falcons.
Hawks are going to be
Come on, Hawks gonna be mid too. Falcons just
Hawks
gonna
are better
be
than the
bottom of
Knicks.
the barrel.
ceiling's the 5th seed.
Hawks are better than the Knicks. I was talking to Alvaro. He said the Knicks would be the 5th seed. I said, you're wilding.
On to the last team in the NFC South, the Carolina Panthers. Now, I wasn't very excited to talk about this team earlier today, but then news came out that Baker Mayfield was traded to Carolina.
He kind of saved the show.
Low-key.
He kind of saved the show.
Okay.
So I give him a lot of shit, but thank you, Baker. Thank you.
It's good for one day of the year.
Absolutely. That's it.
Baker Mayfield will make the playoffs with the Carolina Panthers this upcoming season.
How much you want to put on that?
5-12 last season, 29th ranked offense. That's going to go up with Baker.
Put $1,000 on
21st
it.
ranked defense. Now, last season,
Put 1,000.
they started off 3-0 with Christian McCaffrey.
2,000.
Sam Darnold had easy reads, easy progressions. CMC gets hurt.
I'll put 10K.
And now Sam Darnold regresses back to what he's always been. One of the worst quarterbacks in the NFL.
Go get naked on the show.
9 touchdowns, 13 picks. Cam Newton comes
that was
in, 4 touchdowns, 5 picks, went 0-5 as a starter. PJ Walker, 1 touchdown, 3 interceptions. The Panthers, for the last 2-3 seasons, have had some of the worst quarterback play in the NFL. Well, Baker Mayfield, past 3 years outside of 2021, you go from 2018 to 2020, he's finished top 15 in PFF grading every single
Can
year.
you stop with the PFF grade, dude?
Now, Baker Mayfield, when he's healthy,
Doesn't
is
matter.
is a very good quarterback. Yes, indeed.
So he's
Lil
great.
Baby.
So he's
Drake.
great.
He's a good quarterback.
So he's great. Thank you. That's 'cause
Now, the
apparently it's not a
additions,
synonym for
Rashard
great.
Higgins was a good addition. Ike Ekwonu, Bradley Bozeman, Austin Corbett, Matt Ioannidis, Corey Littleton, Xavier Woods. This offensive line last year is one of the worst units. This year, I think they're going to be better. They're going to be at least average. You have
I agree.
DJ Moore still, Robbie Anderson, Christian McCaffrey, Tommy Tremble hopefully takes a step. Now, before Baker Mayfield, I had the Panthers winning 6 games, going 6-11.
That's a lot.
But with Baker, they will go 9-8. And that first win is going to start week 1 versus the Cleveland Browns.
I agree.
Mark it in.
I agree.
1-0 versus the Giants. 2-0. I think they lose to the Saints week 3. They beat Arizona because that's without D-Hop still in week 4. That's 3 wins. They lose to San Fran. They lose to the Rams. They lose to the Bucs. Then I have them beating Atlanta at Atlanta. I have them beating Baltimore. Yes, I do. I have them losing to Denver. I have them beating Seattle. I have them beating Pittsburgh. I have them beating Detroit. And I have them losing to Tampa Bay and beating the Saints week 18.
Interesting.
For a record of 9-8.
Interesting spiel you just went on. Yes, Baker Mayfield comes to the Panthers team, and their offense gets a little bit of life. CMC, I'm sure, is super happy to have someone that's going to continue to dump off the ball.
Before you go, there's a chance the Browns start off 4-0, beating Cleveland, New York, the Saints, and Arizona.
Panthers, you mean? You mean the Panthers go 4-0?
Panthers start off 4-0, yes. Because I have them splitting versus the Saints.
We saw that happen last year, and they didn't make the playoffs either. My statement still stands. Baker Mayfield is an upgrade for this offense, no doubt. You go from the 32nd best quarterback in the NFL to around 23, 24th best quarterback in the NFL. Baker Mayfield's going to benefit DJ Moore slightly. He's going to benefit CMC more than DJ Moore, in my opinion, given the fact that he's just going to continue to see him out of the backfield. And I don't want to speak this out into existence, but we've seen CMC these past couple of seasons struggle to stay on the field, and it's been due to overusage. Hopefully Baker Mayfield doesn't rely on CMC too much. Let's hope that this offensive line is revamped and proves so this upcoming season to protect Baker Mayfield, because up until this point, Baker Mayfield's only played with a pristine offensive line. This is the first time we're coming in. It's not fully stamped that he's going to be behind a really strong line. And again, you have that safety, and that is Christian McCaffrey, but you don't want to overuse him. DJ Moore is going to be great. Has put up 1,000 yards these past couple of seasons, past 3 seasons, I believe, actually, with mediocre quarterback play. And it's going to continue. Baker Mayfield is, if anything, slightly above mediocre, but he will continue to thrive because DJ Moore is a top 15 receiver. When it comes to the defensive side of the ball, I do have my worries. Dante Jackson's not the greatest. Obviously, Dante Jackson, you think so?
Solid.
Yeah, he was mid in coverage.
Solid.
He was mid in coverage. He had like a 66 grade in PFF.
He's all right.
I thought PFF didn't matter.
When it comes to quarterbacks, absolutely not.
They're actually the best when it comes. That's their best position.
I disagree.
Defensive, offensive line, and quarterbacks. That's what
And
PFF.
What do you mean by best position, though?
Like that's what they're the best at grading those positions.
That's objective.
Shaq Thompson, solid in coverage. No doubt about that. Damian Wilson, mid. Corey Littleton, solid pickup for them. Derek Brown, underwhelming. He needs to step up this upcoming season. Brian Burns, great talent. This defense does concern me. J.C. Horn, he needs to come out this season and show why he was a top 10 pick.
He was
J.C. Horn
he
was fantastic last season before he got hurt. Just hoping to see him get back on track this upcoming season and be that lockdown corner, because this is interesting. They took J.C. Horn, and I do believe J.C. Horn was the correct selection, right? But let's live in a world where Justin Fields is now their quarterback. Now they don't have to make this trade. Justin Fields is now paired up with Christian McCaffrey, DJ Moore, Robbie Anderson, a solid offensive line that he definitely does not have over in Chicago. The Panthers made a huge mistake not drafting Justin Fields. Obviously, J.C. Horn's
Sam
not
Darnold over Justin Fields, basically.
And J.C. Horn is a fine ball player. I'm not trying to say that he's not, but in terms of what you need for your franchise, number one priority is a starting quarterback.
If you guys didn't trade for Russell Wilson, you can make the same argument.
I don't disagree. And listen, why I'm not upset about it too is because we needed that cornerback depth, similarly to the Panthers, right?
For sure.
But we had the assets to go out and acquire a guy like Russell Wilson. Excuse me.
Well, I mean, so did they. Like it's not like you guys had extra.
We
picks.
gave up 2 firsts.
Well, you got an extra second
seconds.
for Vaughn, but that was really it. It's not like you had
No, they
first-round
definitely.
picks.
The Panthers had the assets. They were
Didn't
in on
they
Deshaun
trade it?
Watson.
They
And they
traded-
had
oh,
pick
you're right.
7. You guys had like 9 that year, right?
Mhm. We had a really good. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
But ultimately, Justin Fields should be the starting quarterback of this team, and I feel like that would be better suited for them, where they'd have multiple years on that contract, and they could put pieces around Justin, which they've done up until this point for Sam Darnold and a washed-up Cam Newton.
They already had those pieces in place,
No doubt. But now these pieces are in place for a guy like Baker Mayfield, who has shown you that he can get you to the playoffs, sure, but what is he really doing past that? We saw it when Chad Henne, I believe it was Chad Henne.
Yeah, Chad Henne.
Chad Henne comes in the second half of the game against the Chiefs, and Baker was unable to get that done. I think that Baker is going to be an upgrade, but very marginally. To go through their record, again, I gave Baker some respect. I went back to readjust my schedule predictions. I have them going 3-0 to start the season as well, but I have them losing to Arizona. I have them losing to San Fran. I have them losing to the Rams. I have them losing to Tampa Bay. I give them the benefit of that win against Atlanta. I do have them beating Atlanta twice, but I do have them losing to Cincinnati. I have them losing to Baltimore. I have them losing to Denver. Bye week, winning against Seattle. Seattle's going to be a bad team this year. I have them losing to Pittsburgh. I have them losing to Detroit. I have them losing to Tampa Bay, and have them losing to New Orleans for a record of 6-11.
What'd you have them? What was the record for you?
9-8, and they're a
9-8.
playoff team.
Remind me of the Saints. They were 9-8 as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
9-8, 8-9.
Okay.
Between there. I'm gonna
Which way do you lean for the Saints? Curious.
And this is tough. I love the freaking Saints. I really love the Saints.
I mean,
Jameis is your guy.
You almost
and
gave him 11 wins
If
before.
Jameis is your guy, and I think the Saints, without a doubt, have a better roster than the Panthers.
and more continuity on the coaching staff.
Kind of.
This
I mean,
is
Matt
tough,
Rule has
man.
been there was the head coach last year.
No, but
Dennis
it's
Allen
just
wasn't.
I know, but they've been firing OCs left and right.
Yeah.
You're bringing Ben McAdoo. Ben McAdoo had Baker Mayfield as his quarterback 6 in the 2018 draft. So he's not a fan of Baker. How is that going to work out? Like, there's things it can implode in Carolina.
For sure.
I don't see anything imploding in New Orleans. I see it being very steady, stable.
That's why I give them the. I mean, I have the Panthers at 7-10, so I have the Saints with a 2-game, pretty comfortable. Or did I have them at 8-9?
I'm gonna change
I'm
my
8-9
Saints. I'm
also.
gonna change the Saints pick to 10-7.
Okay. Yeah, this Panthers team is fun, right? They have a young defense that I think have a lot to prove, right? I think J.C. Horn coming back from injury, Derek Brown being a former first-round pick who hasn't really panned out to the way they want, Brian Burns, who's kind of always been on the borderline of being great but hasn't really taken that leap yet.
Agreed.
And making upgrades like Matt Ioannidis as well. So I'm excited for them. I think they have a really good safety duo too with Jeremy Chin. They picked up Xavier Woods from Dallas. So I'm excited for their defense. I think it's fun. And then offensively, picking up Icky, who is one of my favorite prospects in the draft, let alone offensive line.
Oh, he wasn't. You called him a bust.
No such thing. I liked Icky a lot. You know, a mauler, someone who could hold down that tackle spot for years to come. Hold down that tackle spot's a pause.
You said Mauler.
That's not a pause.
Dude, can you stop?
But at the end of the day,
Foul.
I do think the Saints and obviously the Bucs have a better record than them. I have them going 7-10. I don't really think they'll be in the playoff hunt. You know, maybe week 8 you'll see them on the screen in the hunt. But when it comes down to it, I just think there's probably 8 teams in the NFC that are better than them currently. That's insane. No.
Now who though? Because I have these are the playoffs for me. I have division winners: Eagles, Bucks, Packers, Rams.
Yep.
Right, and then for the wild card, there's 3 teams that enter it. 49ers, I think, is one team that enters it. The Cowboys are one team that enters it.
Vikings.
And then the last 3 is Vikings, Saints, Panthers. So
I think the Vikings and Saints are better than the Panthers. So I have them as the 8th best team. You know, a couple things go their way.
but
Who
there
knows?
could
Baker has a
there
breakout
could be
year.
regression with the Niners though.
Why?
If they don't have, Jimmy Garoppolo at least gave them a stable quarterback. If Trey Lance isn't at least better than him right now, then they could regress.
I think Trey Lance.
And injuries and stuff, you know, they're
I
always
feel like
an
they're
injury
always
concern.
banged up though.
Exactly.
They were relatively healthy last year. Like Debo stayed healthy the whole year. Kittle missed a handful of games, but he played like 14.
So I'm saying there is a chance though in that. You know,
I'm in on San Fran.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm super in.
Love Trey Lance. He's an upgrade.
I
for
love
Jimmy
San
G.
Fran too. I like San
Now,
Fran.
Trey Lance could be a top 20 quarterback this year.
We don't know. Jimmy G's really the only guy looking for a job, and there's no jobs out there. And San Fran has said they're not going to release him. They're not going to trade him to Seattle, obviously.
That's
I don't even
because
know
if
if
Trey
Seattle
Lance
wants him.
doesn't pan out, they have a good option.
Yeah, but it's hard because Jimmy has taken that team to the NFC Championship, taken them to the Super Bowl, and you want Trey Lance, who you just traded a boatload of assets for a number 3 overall pick. You want him to own that room. I think it's really hard to do that if you have Jimmy G. Like, sure, can he learn from Jimmy G and have a veteran presence? Yeah, that would be great. But I want a guy like Brian Hoyer, not someone like Jimmy G who has the potential to take your job. Or I'm looking over my shoulder like everyone in the locker room has already been behind this guy. Just last season, he was their leader. Now I'm their leader, but now the backup has been, so I just think it get messy. That's the only thing. They might end up releasing him. It's $20 million. They could shut off the cap, so we'll see what happens.
To recap the NFC South, these are our NFC South predictions for the 2022 NFL season. I have the Buccaneers at 14-3, the Saints at 10-7, the Panthers at 9-8, and the Falcons at 3-14.
I got the Bucs going 12-5, the Saints at 9-8, Panthers at 7-10, Falcons 3-14, fighting for the number 1 pick.
Ooh, I said the exact same thing. I have the Bucs winning the division at 13-4. I have the Saints coming in second due to a tough schedule. I do believe that they'll miss the playoffs at 7-10. The Baker addition doesn't move me much, so I do have Carolina going 6-11, finishing in third place. And lastly, I do have the Falcons fighting for the number 1 overall pick, coming with a record of 2-15.
And that's going to do it for episode 193 of the Pick a Side podcast. You can follow us on Twitter at Pick a Side Pod, on Instagram and TikTok at Pick a Side Podcast, and buy merch at pickasidepodcast.com. A lot of different hoodie colors for you to shop around.
Look how mint this looks.
All black.
Get your own.
Classic.
Go get your own, man.
So thank you guys for listening and or watching, and we'll see you next time.